Good afternoon, everyone. This is Commander Trium talking to you once again from the Elite Universe. It is the 16th of March, 3304. We're at a weekend where we are. And we may also be in the year 3004. Depending on how weekends are defined 1,000 years from now. I have reason to believe they are going to be a little different. The starport staff are turning on the lights as we look at our galactic map. Well, I'm not seeing any Thargoids. I have ships scattered around the cloud for different reasons. I'm in my Diamondback Explorer. Of course, at Polevnik, we have the Dolphin passenger liner. The space bus, as I like to think of it. My Sidewinder, the start ship, is at LTT 11485. And in the Wolf 62 system, we are storing our Python. We're just going to lay in a course back there now, since we are done our business. We did our business when Elite came back online late last night, following an outage that affected everyone who was using the Elite launcher, certainly, possibly other launchers as well, taking a large percentage of the user base offline. But since that time, obviously they have fixed it. One thing I do notice is that I'm having to reinstall the patch from March 6th, or whenever the Oculus outage was, to accommodate my VR helmet. If I reboot my system, it goes back into an error state, and the patch fixes it yet again. So, not sure what that's about. However, we are 3 jumps away in our long-range craft from Wolf 562, traveling from the LTT LTT 17156 system. Good lord, there's stars around every corner here. Yeah, LTT 17156. And we will take on a small number of passengers as cargo, helping to fortify our beleaguered little alliance here. And that's all we have cargo space for.
At maximum capacity.
Okay. And I could have sworn I'm losing inventory. I had a Class 4A shield generator that disappeared out of my inventory, out of my locker, when I removed it. And one could argue I may have sold it, but I certainly have not sold the Class 3A that I replaced it with in order to accommodate the 2 full cargo racks, allowing me 32 dissidents. At any rate, we will launch with what we have. And then we'll go to Wolf 562 to get some more missions and hopefully some more money as we leave Kimberlin orbit.
Disengage from landing pad. Maintain correct lane on exit.
Landing gear retracted.
That's weird. We'll replot the course. Okay. We're still 3 hops away, but we've changed stars that we're going to.
Frameshift drive charging.
And here we go. Wolf 562 is a system involving the presence of 62 million human inhabitants.
Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging.
Clear for automated approach vectoring.
And this video has been brought to you by Achilles Robotics.
Landing gear deployed.
Landing complete. Ship secured.
Okay. Interstellar factors. Nearest world looks like it's 397, and we will go to 397. There is Sol. We don't need a black market, we need interstellar factors. "26 light years." "11 light years." Canis Minoris, Wolf 294, and G4114 also are acceptable. 3605 key for 1.3 million. We need cordial on that one.
Cargo hold at maximum capacity.
Launching.
Landing gear retracted.
Restraints retracted. You are clear for egress.
Frameshift drive charging.
Interstellar jump in progress.
Way ahead is clear.
4, 3, 2,
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Not too bad.
I'm feeling kind of tired today. Last night I would have logged in, but they had a problem with their launcher app. And it prevented everyone from logging in who relies on the Frontier launcher to get into Elite. I'm not sure if it affected people on Oculus or Stream, but I used the Frontier launcher, so I got kind of screwed over. I couldn't log in any time after 9 because it was down till about 3 in the morning here, so...
I was acting pretty stupid last night before I went to bed too, so... And I was still in game.
Yeah. They were definitely having issues. I don't know what the hell. I guess they had a major update to the server yesterday. It went in last night. And from then on, it was just bizarre. Finally, it ended up being you couldn't log in to the, like, you're supposed to go, to start a support ticket, you're supposed to go to the Elite Help website.
Yep.
And log in using your credentials, your normal Elite credentials. And it wouldn't accept them. It just kept coming back, invalid login was the error message. And what the hell? And so I tried logging into the Frontier store just to change my password, but it turns out that, nope, my password was correct. Go back to the helper app, nope, doesn't work. And of course, you need credentials to log into the servers, so they weren't working either. Unless you were already here, then you weren't getting back in. When I finally did manage to log in, I woke up for about 20 minutes around 3 o'clock. And so I played Elite for under half an hour. And in that time, the game was running much better, but no one was logged in.
Yeah. I know when I went to bed, I was just being kind of stupid and glitchy, but since I was on my way to bed, I didn't worry too much about it.
No. Yeah, I finally found out that there's a support, a troubleshooting and support group that they have running under the Elite Forum site. And sure enough, when I finally got there, about 2 hours after 2 hours worth of trying to log in and fix my password, I see this message there from 3 different people saying how the launcher app isn't working for them. They're getting the exact same error messages I am. So at that point, I sort of knew, well, this is, it probably isn't just me anymore. It's probably Frontier that just isn't letting people on for whatever reason. So I'm in the Zybutis system. You, on the other hand, are where?
I'm at Boulder. Hop, skip, and a jump away from my home port. There's a bunch of surface scans that I logged yesterday.
Okay.
A couple million credits a pop for them if I can manage the bounties better than I did last time.
Cool. I had to go back and start building up my rep again with the base personnel, but I did manage to get 3 enforcer cannons purchased last night.
Those which ones are those? Are the shotgun ones or whatever?
The type, they're machine gun. They're type 1. They're class 1 projectile weapons, but they I haven't used them yet. We'll get around to that.
Permission authorized. Assigned to landing pad 2-2. Automated docking assist is now in progress.
I'm just docking at another station, dumping off some passengers. Maximum credits I'm getting are about per mission, about 500,000, because I'm not in very good standing with the Wolf 562 people. Not yet. Once I'm promoted to cordial and then friendly, I'll start getting serious money, but
Yeah.
we're not quite there yet.
You gotta be pretty friendly and allied to get the good
The good money, yeah. But, I mean, this is a world of 60 million people, so there should be something.
Landing successful. Ship is locked down.
Okay, so we're just going to go to our passengers, and we're going to release the passengers we have. Yep, 500,000.
Incoming message.
And that,
Incoming mission critical message.
we got a promotion. Mission critical message. So, Wolf 562 Major Inc. changes from neutral to cordial. And there's a secondary contract now available based on the mission I just finished. That's nice.
I've got 3 of them damn things with one of the factions, and I'm not too energetic to go do them.
Well, let's see where everyone is here today. Going to the galaxy map. You're down by the Thargoids, or closer to the Thargoids. Yeah. So you wouldn't have that far to go, and you'd be able to get Thargoid blood all over you.
Oh, I've been over in that direction once or twice.
I thought about going and hunting and trying to get Thargoid parts, but I've never taken on a Thargoid myself. I was going to wait until I had a nicely outfitted Anaconda. I've been
pulled out of crews and scanned, disabled and scanned a few times.
And
When they first started showing up, that was a year ago, though.
yeah, but did you, you don't shoot at them in your little craft, do you?
No, I was in an Asp Explorer all set up for running around scanning and exploring. I wasn't going to fight anything with that.
No. Yeah, you're at Baldur's Gate there. Yeah, I don't know. I have anti-Thargoid weapons like the EX multi-cannons, the experimental lasers, burst lasers, and I got a corrosive mod for some of the weapons. So
Come on.
I can screw with them quite a bit, but I haven't taken them on yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm too ambitious to go mess with them too much with solo. I know that.
But even if you're paired, I mean, they're kind of tough, you know. Like you get one of those bastards on you, he's gonna drill you with Sargons and whatnot. Depending on what that's the other thing is what class of ship is it? A Medusa, a Cyclops, a Basilisk?
Yeah.
You know, they all have different classes, and one is more severe than the other, and I don't know which order they fall into. But the other thing we could do is we could go explore some of the Guardian bases, but they're way out there.
Could do that. Right now, I'm just, like I said, I've got about half a dozen planets to go scan. Turn those in and back in my home base, and then I can go do something. I'm on planet 2 of about 7 or 8 of them, or 5 or 6 of them to go yet.
Well, let's see if we can get a wing. I'm going to see if I can get more people to join our wing, and then we'll go and maybe we'll tackle a Thargoid. That way we get some Thargoid bits and pieces, and we can turn it in and get money for the community goal missions. Money's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Did you guys get cooler temperatures out in South Dakota in the last day or so?
Not really. It's kind of nice out today.
Yeah, we got screwed. We got screwed over. It started off being, and I guess New York must be the same way, because we're only 8 hours drive away from New York here. But here, it went from being above freezing all week last week to -7 degrees Celsius today. So I don't know what that works out to in Fahrenheit, but
I'd have to go mess with it. I know right now we're just 35 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and at 32 degrees is
freezing. Yeah.
Point,
So it's probably 20-something Fahrenheit here. Probably. Maybe even in the teens. I don't know if it's that cold.
I just wish the United States would switch over to the metric system and be done with it.
It will eventually. It's just a matter of time.
Until the baby boomer old timers in this country decide either die off.
Yeah, I mean the younger people will, as long as the Gen X people, once they start occupying offices of power, it's very likely the switch will be made, or shortly thereafter. My grandparents, they were the most stubborn Canadians about it, because we used to use the old British imperial system here. It's similar to the American one. And, you know, they were...
They got me about 600 credit bounty.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I'm also being lazy. I'm not jumping into an SRV and driving up to the bases to scan the things. I'm just flying up to them with my ship and scanning.
You can do that?
Yeah, you gotta... Basically, that red pole thing, that you gotta go right up to it and... with the ship.
And point at it.
Yeah, you gotta point and target it, and then you gotta be touching the damn thing with the nose of the ship to be able to scan it. The scanner's got like a 3-meter range.
Yeah, I'd like to pull out the SRV. I don't really even care so much if I get wanted in a system. I'm wanted in one system right now. Actually, I'm wanted in my home system of Wolf 542. But I'm going to go to an interstellar factor site and pay off my bounty. I accidentally crashed my Diamondback Explorer into a ship that was taking off.
Nice.
And, yeah, and of course I survived because my shields were back up again to what they were supposed to be, but it wasn't very good for the other ship, I guess. Oh, 500 credit bounty and Sublime Order of Van Manen's Star. Isn't that nice?
Yeah,
Okay.
now I'm going to jump to another system, and I'll go do a surface scan there, and jump to another system, do a scan there.
Yeah, I'm doing a couple of strategic data transfers. They're not worth any money, but they give you some reputation, so...
Yeah, pretty much where I'm at right now, I've got pretty decent standing with a few of these.
Yeah.
I don't want to piss them off too much. I got to scan them even though I'm friendly with a few of them.
This is a 3605 key. 3605 key. Yes. It's through Wolf 562. You know what? We're going to go... Hang on. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we'll do. We'll take this...
Out of curiosity, when you do the multi-crew, do other people in the crew, do they gain experience or gain reputation?
Yeah, there's a report that comes up at the very end. And then you get reputation based on that. What the hell is going on here? There's some... Hang on. I'm looking for green planets. There's Talesian. G4114. Let's go there. Oh, wait. There's LHS 380 and 397. 397's 21 light years. 4140 is 25. Well, you take your pick. The same damn thing.
What is up with your mic? Because it'll come through real clear, then it'll get kind of real gravelly sounding.
Because, I don't know, it's the Oculus mic. I'm wearing a headset. So it doesn't actually read my voice using a microphone. It's about reverberations through my skull into the sound processing utility.
Ah, okay.
So
I've noticed that the last few times we've been talking and
Well,
I'm wondering.
if my voice quiets down when I talk, that's because my head isn't vibrating very much, and so you're not going to hear very much noise. I have to vibrate my head. Speak loud enough to vibrate my head, or you're not going to hear anything.
Now, the technology they can put into things nowadays, amusing, but...
Well, you don't really need a microphone. You can just vibrate your head. I mean, your skull knows. Your skull contains all the necessary bits to transport sound.
Yeah.
And it'll even sound like you, so... I can't really tell you how I know this, but I do know that they're playing around with neural interface technology, and that people's voices can be transmitted neurally now, like from one brain to another, using using a very simple apparatus.
That kind of starts getting in the realm of kind of scary, because I don't know if I want to know other people's thoughts, let alone anyone know my thoughts.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. You can get you get a tone of sorts through the mechanism. You can also feel other people's emotions, which is always interesting too. Usually, it's not very pronounced though. Like if it's very, very subtle. I don't know how else to explain it. You'd have to experience it the way I did, in order to understand. But it's possible to transmit emotions are very simple bits of information, right? Your brain has a reaction to it, and it's inside your brain waves what your mood is.
You're happy, you're sad.
Yeah, basically it's like your mood ring, but you can tell if people are lying, for example. Like you can tell, okay, I'm detecting that you're being deceptive, or that you're not disclosing fully. When the court system gets its hands on this stuff, I mean, it's going to go beyond the mood ring, I can tell you that right now. Like you'll be able to tell outright if people can lie or not, if they're being truthful. It takes a certain amount of training, but if it's possible, it's far, far more accurate than sodium, drugging someone up with sodium pentothal or one of these newer chemicals and then asking them questions.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason you have to torture people anymore. People are all like hung up about, what should we torture the terrorists or not. You don't have to. You put a chip in their head and you ask them questions, and they don't even have to answer. If they hear the question, they're gonna have thoughts, and as soon as they have thoughts, you can start reading what those are right away. And unless they're very disciplined, I mean, with a certain amount of discipline, you can train yourself not to think about what you're being queried about, right? So you could still be deceptive, but it takes a long time to get like that. It doesn't just happen overnight.
If you know, well, I know from experience that your eyes tend to watch somebody's eyes and ask questions, how their eyes react can tell you whether they're being honest or truthful.
In poker, it's called the towel, right?
Yeah. Well, as a kid, I learned how to control my eyes so that I could stare somebody straight in the face and tell them whatever I want, and they can't tell shit.
They can't tell shit, yeah.
But it took most of my childhood to learn how to do it, but it also gave me the ability to look into people's eyes
and lie straight to their face.
Once they've learned how to do it, I can tell if they're full of shit or not.
But it's going to be a lot harder in the future to get away with deception. That much is certain. And you're never going to have to rely on torture. Like that's so medieval now, right? It's just so passe.
Torture is mostly for the psychos that get off on that shit. So.
Well, and the other thing is, if you torture someone for information, you'll get answers. Whether or not the answers are truthful or not is another matter.
That's the biggest problem with torture. Why it's so frowned upon nowadays is how do you know what you're getting?
Yeah, you're definitely getting answers because they know that unless they answer questions, they're going to get hurt again. But if you're giving them the answers they expect to hear and that don't contradict known facts, there's very little good that torturing someone's going to do you, because you can simply lie to them and be deceptive and lead them up a goddamn tree and back down again, and they will never, and it'll be forever. find out what's really going on. If someone doesn't want to tell you something, it used to be that you would never find out, and that's as simple as that. But I think it's useful. The American Constitution, I wasn't thinking about this at the time. When I was in pre-law, I was thinking, oh, you know, how great Canada's legal system was, that we had our equivalent of the Fifth Amendment is actually Article 13 of our Constitution. If a court asks you a question in Canada, you're compelled to answer. The thing is that whatever your answer is can't be held against you. You can't then be charged with a crime if in fact you're admitting to one as a result of the question. So it's the same kind of thing. I mean, the court has the right to find out what you know in the court's own view, but it just can't then turn around and charge you with anything related to your answer. So lawyers have to be very careful about how they structure their questions, because they may want to charge a Crown attorney, may want to charge the equivalent of a district attorney, may want to charge someone.
I got to answer the phone here quick, so I'll be right
okay.
back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Hi. I'm at home playing my game. Alex is playing on his computer, and Jasmine on her phone sitting in her chair. What happens is you get up at 5 in the morning and go to work. After about that 8 hours standard work day, because that's about how long before something starts wearing out. That's about the time I have to be at the range for, I left the range and they're just starting to figure out where they want to put stuff. I went back to the range after leaving Walmart. They're pretty much vacuuming and cleaning up and making sure everything's about what they want.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Been so busy, I've been stuck in her delusions again. Well, pretty much you figured Jim's Herbal and they both figure they've had their kids, they know what's going on, so my presence there, I mean, I show up with intention helping them have to leave because the kids stuff, they're not too upset with me. Most of them figure I do put in more effort than most people in the club, especially my age group, so they figure any help I give is better than anything most people give. Oh yeah, like I told Jim, I'll be there all day tomorrow and all day Sunday, so. But I suppose we'll talk to you when you get home then. Okay, my wife called, she's getting off work.
No, okay. Yeah, so I mean, like a Crown attorney here has to be careful what they ask an accused if they're witness in a case, because they don't want to ask them questions that they have to answer and then get exemptions from the court for. But now with the secrecy being kind of going out the window, if you decline to answer, I mean, there could be more use in declining to answer something than forcing someone to answer a question. I'm still of sort of two minds about it. I don't know if it's better to leave it a secret so that the government never knows, although they kind of know everything anyway, but I'm not sure there's really that much difference practically between either country in the way that it treats its court cases, but it would be harder to, it would be easier in the United States to not be thought of as culpable if you could maintain a secret with this technology, because it's going to be very, very easy to determine in the future if you're lying or being, you know, in Canada, you can't just say, one of the tricks you can also use as a defendant in Canada to get out of answering questions is, I don't remember, right? I don't remember. There. The fallibility of the human mind, you know, and no one can question that. Except now you can. So they'll know if you can remember or not. Absolutely certain. There won't be any doubt. So I guess crimes will be kind of harder to get away with here. Of course, what will be a crime is still up in the air as we review drug laws.
Well, sometimes knowledge, just having knowledge of something isn't necessarily criminal, but all of a sudden it becomes criminal that you're not giving the information. I mean, that's where it's getting into the...
Well, you could purge in the yeah, even in the American court system, there are circumstances where you can have it where you're compelled to answer the question, right? Where you don't have the right to remain silent anymore. And because you've given an answer already to some other question that was related to it. And, you know, if you suddenly, you know, say, oh, I don't remember, or, you know, in a situation where you can't plead the fifth, well, except now you've perjured yourself. Clearly you can remember, and you're lying, you know, and the court will know.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
it's getting to the point here in America, the average people are so stupid that you don't need technology to prove them wrong.
No.
Just give them enough time and they'll hang themselves.
And whatever your views are on drug legislation and what should be allowed and what shouldn't be, I mean, you got to understand too, the American system of justice. There's too many, and the Canadian one too. Both countries have way too many people in jail. We don't have as many in Canada as in the U.S. because we don't arrest people for, you know, pot possession anymore very often. Still can technically happen if the cops want to hold you, but it's at their discretion. And usually they don't. But it's only because the court systems are completely overloaded, you know, in the first place. I myself, 10 years ago, was arrested on cocaine possession. I was at a party, a small amount of cocaine was found on me by an officer. And so I ended up spending 2 days in jail, plus, you know, plus the time's already served, just waiting to see a lawyer and all the rest of it. And you do a lot of waiting if you ever get arrested, by the way.
Trust me, I've dealt with a lot.
It's very frustrating.
I don't really care to do it again.
No, it's frustrating because you just sit there, right? And you're kind of like,
Look, let's just put it this way. I spent 6 months in jail, so yeah, I know exactly how frustrating and how boring it is.
But what do you think about the idea of commercial prisons? Like in Canada, we've resisted that completely, thank God. I think we're further ahead. Way further ahead. I just don't see it as being a money-making venture. Like there's some things that government does that has to do, which are going to cost money. And you need to have taxes for it.
If you want to make the prison system cheaper, stop giving the prisoners all these stupid fringe benefits and privileges that they don't fucking need.
Yeah, the Xbox was a little bit extreme in my own experience. But I mean, if you're sitting there for 6 months, if you don't do that, then you're risking prison riots and violence in the prisons. I mean, idle hands will occupy themselves, right? So they try.
That's why go give them a hammer and tell them, you see that big boulder out there? I want it broken down into gravel.
Yeah, we don't compel them to do manual labor anymore.
Yeah.
We've moved past that.
Honestly, it's probably a good idea because it keeps their mind occupied.
Scan detected.
Yeah, I mean, there is a Scandinavian model too, right? Where I mean, here in North America, we tend to look at the Scandinavians and we say, oh, you put your prisoners up in hotels and whatnot. They're not hotels. I mean, they can't leave. But they go to counseling sessions and they make an earnest effort to try to make them public members, useful members of society again. And for the most part, it seems to work. It doesn't do anything for the victims, but for the whole society as a whole, it does end up being better off because.
Well, that's one of the biggest problems in the United States is the victims are always seen as you got to get justice for the victim.
Right. So if
you can't, depending on the case, say the victim got, raped.
Yeah.
I mean, it's horrible one way or the other.
But
you can't undo the past.
You can't take it back. No.
There's no true justice to be achieved there.
No, you'll never get it.
How hard you try. I mean, yeah, you can lock somebody away for the rest of their life, and that does not give the victim justice.
Of course not. No.
So I mean, the whole idea of got to get justice for the victim is kind of a flawed.
Assisted docking initiated.
But short of executing them, which we don't do in this country anymore either. We haven't done that for decades now. Short of executing them, the best hope for the situation is that you stop them from doing it again. And a lot of the victims, at least in Canada, when you talk to them, they come out and say, no, I just don't want this to happen to anyone else. That's their main. They want justice, but they consider their participation in the process of preventing that person from harming someone else the same way as being justice, right?
Yeah.
So in a rape case, hang on a second. Oh, I'm getting screwed over by the starport here. In a rape case, the best case scenario is to prevent it from happening again. So you have two choices: either you execute them or you re-educate them. One of the two. And by re-education, I'm not talking about high school. I'm talking about like you stimulate you change the way that they think, so that type of behavior is just not.
Lot of mental therapists talking, or psychologists and whatever.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people too who are just they get in front of a television camera and they scream bloody murder. Like, oh well, they get to go to counseling. Meanwhile, I have to deal with this. It's like, well, no, you get to go to counseling too, but we're treating it as best we can. What more is there? Apart from, but a rape victim will probably want to kill the son of a bitch that did it to them, right?
And no one blame them.
And no one would blame them, but we do have, but that's them. This is society as a whole, and we're not going to. And there are consequences to taking the approach. Well, let the victim dictate. What justice is. You end up having a bunch of dead people, and we did try that at one point in our mutual history, and we said, okay, we're not doing this anymore. So it's not that. There's only so many choices in front of us here. If it's not one thing, then it's got to be the other. In my mind,
yeah,
and we all agree, and we all agreed. I mean, even the rape victims will say themselves, "Well, if it was someone else being raped, I would, I'd hate to have it happen to them, but they wouldn't necessarily shoot them. Would they give them some of them may give them a loaded gun to go shoot their aggressor, but many wouldn't. I mean, it's
another option is, say, a man rapes a woman. Well, you go and emasculate the man, so he has no ability to ever do it again.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when it comes to rape, it's not so much the physical act of it, it's the mental aspect of being in control that gets a lot of them excited, so.
Yeah. I was pretty pissed off with another example, North Korea, that American student who pulled that stupid stunt, got himself arrested by the North Koreans and then was, basically abused in prison to the point where he was killed. or nearly dead. When he got back to the States, he finally expired in the United States. And that wasn't right.
Don't go to other countries and do stupid shit.
No, I know.
Change.
But it wasn't just either what happened to him. Regardless of everything else, no one in the world thought that that was just. I mean, we're all part of different countries. We all have different ideas of justice, I'm sure. They're nuanced and germane to culture, but very few people would take the North Korean side on that, because Kim Jong-un just basically executed an American. Basically.
Yeah.
Right? And the reaction of the American public was disfavorable, naturally, but you hardly see it mentioned anymore, and I'm not sure how many people actually even think about it anymore. I'm seeing a lot of hope, which is a good thing, coming out of the United States. I'm delighted that there's so much hope for peace with North Korea. I'd love nothing better than to have that. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's realistic, and you can't trust the son of a bitch. It'll
end up being military action to solve it. But
likely, yeah. It seems
that's what they're trying to avoid, it, which is a good idea. But
yeah, but it doesn't look very hopeful to me, anyway. And if it's going to involve military action, you may as well take him to task for killing that American too, because Jesus Christ. He killed that man has no scruples. He kills members of his own family. Of course, that's an ancient aristocratic trend, right? You kill off the relatives who might lay claim to the throne.
That's North Korean mentality in general. A lot of it, I mean, a lot of Oriental countries, that's common.
You think so? I'm not sure about China. It hasn't been that way in China for many years.
No, it hasn't been recently, but I'm saying in history it was real common. I mean, even in Europe.
In Europe as well, yeah.
I mean, here in the United States, I mean, that's kind of the behavior that a lot of them fled and immigrated to the United States for, is to avoid.
Well, World War I. How did World War I begin? Well, we had the Archduke killed in Sarajevo, right? He was shot there.
Yep.
So, Archduke Ferdinand. And, it was probably family behind it, but it ignited a war that cost, nearly 20 million people their lives. Of course, got 4 times worse by World War II. It was 86 million, including civilian casualties. Lives ended as a direct result of World War II. 86 million people. You could just mind-bogglingly large numbers of people. And the big fear with North Korea is that if it ever erupted into a war that put the U.S. on a different track with Putin, it could end up going much, much higher. Yes, the Americans would win, but what kind of planet would we have left at the end of it? Is the question.
That's the biggest thing, why they try everything they can before military action, because once the United States basically goes into a militaristic mindset, they're done.
Well,
we win at all costs.
Yeah, you have to win. Yeah, there's no not winning philosophy. Yeah, it can't go any other way. Quite honestly, I don't think anyone wants it to either. I mean, the idea, even the limited amounts of, and I call it limited freedom somewhat facetiously, but relatively speaking, we're all free in wherever we are in North America to do pretty much whatever we want. The government doesn't take too much interest. Even if they do monitor us, they're still not very interested. They have to pay legions of people to track everyone. It costs a lot of money, but some of these places like North Korea, where they have to whisper, even to speak ill about the government, you're taking your life into your hands. I can't imagine what that would be like. I've never been able to completely, I don't think.
We've never been in that position and know what that's like, so.
Russia wasn't as bad as everyone thinks it was. I worked with a Russian who, for a company I used to work with here in Ottawa. She moved from Russia here. She was an excellent QA testing, software testing resource. Very, very skilled at her craft. And at some point we were at some social gathering, and I said to her, you know, well, you are aware, of course, that I grew up being principally terrified that Russian nukes were on their way at any given moment. And she said, well, we thought the exact same thing of the Americans. We thought that they were going to come with nuclear weapons, especially right after the Second World War. Russia was at a disadvantage. They just lost, you know, 30 million people fighting the Nazis, and there were voices that were heard in Europe at the time that suggested maybe they should have pressed on ahead with the American forces to take Moscow. So they had their fears too.
Yep.
But by and large, she also said they were free to do as they wanted to. Yes, you had to produce papers at checkpoints and things of this nature, but largely the government was just, you know, it was a fairly benign instrument during the peak of the Soviet Union. And I'm sure it varied from time to time depending on who was leader. But
shit.
What happened?
Oh, I guess I lucked out. Some ship comes flying through wanting to basically play pirate. If you keep your cargo holds empty, they just leave you alone.
No, yeah, they won't come. No one's going to bother you if you leave your cargo holds empty. Except I don't know.
I've got one.
I don't know what these. I have 13 utopian dissidents, and I don't know. I'm not really sure what they're worth. Like if a pirate would come and take them from me, if I was like traveling through space and they found these dissidents encased in my cargo bay in cryolite.
I don't honestly know.
They could sell them into slavery, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, now I gotta go to Urava.
You did notice, of course, the difference between slaves and imperial slaves in this game.
I haven't gotten that deep into the lore, and I've kind of off and on read into it.
Well, the Empire...
The imperial slaves, basically, they choose to
be...
slaves
That's right, yeah.
To pay off a debt or something like that.
That's that's part of it. Imperial slaves also have rights under the law. It's like a social safety net for the Empire, right? Because they don't get to pick their emperor very often. It's a but I mean they do have a senate. The emperor still has to listen to the imperial senate and all the rest of it. So in some ways, it's a lot like the American government is right now with an elected president, except in this case it'd be an elected emperor.
Yeah, politics generally tend to be a touchy subject a lot of times, whether it's for a game or in real life.
Do you think it's really that touchy inside the game? I guess it may be for power play purposes. There's some people
for power play purposes, it is, but
yeah.
I mean, otherwise,
no one really cares.
A lot of games don't really have political aspects to it. This game does.
Yeah, a little bit. But you can choose to ignore it too and just be neutral and just ignore the government completely, and you can...
That's kind of what I do. I just wander around and make money.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get your rank inside the one or more of the navies, obviously, because there's benefits to that. But you're treating it as a benefit, as a perk, not so much as an obligation to the superpower to which you're identified.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, a slave is like an ordinary slave here in today's world. Probably a sexual slave, or maybe you're abused somehow all the time, right? You're forced into servitude and you can't get out. Imperial slaves, they can get out. I mean, they typically buy their way out, or they whatever. It's more Roman in nature, but
What we call it would be indentured servitude.
Indentured servitude, yeah. They're indentured servants.
That would be the proper term for it that we learned when we were in grade school or junior high and learned about it.
Yep. Yep. We don't have slaves here, but we do have servants.
It's been 20 years since I've actually had to remember that word for any reason.
Well, now it's the year 3000 and it's back again. I don't know. I think the other thing that's going on here, don't forget, is the Empire and the Federation in this game have both outlawed AI. So you're not allowed to build a robot or an android, more properly, that can think for themselves. If it's a machine that can think for itself, then it becomes alive and it has to be destroyed because it's illegal. They've been outlawed. So
this game just kind of shows some of the social, or the way our society looks at AI. I mean, it's kind of neat to think about, but is it a good idea?
Yeah, there's a lot of worry. There's a lot of worry about living machines, and having living machines live with us, and I don't know. I love the view that if they're properly schooled, properly educated, and learn the way we do, then albeit faster. But if they have to go through the same basic series of steps to learn things and still make mistakes and all the rest of it, they'll be able to relate to us as their creators, and so we may not want to get rid of them. In fact, some of the stories about aliens you've started to hear question whether or not the Greys don't have a tandem, have a race of servants that's artificial in nature. If you pay attention
to now you're talking about
the UFO conspiracy theorists that talk about the Greys.
Okay.
So the Greys would be the parent species, right? They're the ones that abduct people, erase their memories, or turn them back, and stories are documented and fire in the sky and whatnot.
Yeah, they're the ones taking people and butt probing them.
Yeah, except I guess they must have stopped that some time ago. You don't hear about it anymore. There's no more reports of that happening.
Or else they're using better loops, so nobody remembers it.
Nobody remembers it. Yeah. Well, fire in the sky, he wasn't butt probed or anything. He just woke up in a very, very strange, like he was encased inside of a bioplastic cocoon, and then he was like weightless, running around as part of the ship, part of the alien spacecraft, I guess, that was in orbit of Earth and was not. He got very disoriented and threw up and a couple of other things. He didn't really know where the hell he was, but he described. Like what it might be like to wake up and find yourself inside of an alien spaceship, inside of a weightless environment in low Earth orbit. And then there's those, and it can't all be conspiracies in my view, partly because I've had a story told to me by someone I trust who did have a close encounter of the third kind with an alien species. It can only be described as such. But apart from that, look at the video recently released by the U.S. Navy. It was released from the archives of the United States Navy, and it took place in 2002 off the west coast of the United States. And there's two F-18 pilots that are on patrol, and they catch this object. It's traveling impossibly fast, far faster than the F-18s can go themselves. But it's careening down the coast, its merry way. And they manage to get a missile lock on it, and then it lets them do this. They just sit there, and they wouldn't fire at it. They couldn't communicate with it, obviously. Couldn't get close enough. But they didn't fire on it, and then it flew away. But there's video of this encounter that they had, and they're just like, what the hell was that?
There's a whole lot of encounters like that, both military and civilian.
Yeah.
Just most of it's never talked about.
No, I suppose people think you're going to be crazy now, but I think that is sort of past as well. I mean, here people... Over half the population of Canada was polled recently and believes that aliens can be found somewhere else in the galaxy, like a living civilization. So,
now, if you poll American citizens, the most entertaining thing that they can come up with would probably be the Kardashians or something stupid.
You don't think most Americans share the view that there's something going on the government isn't telling you?
Oh, That's
sure.
every damn citizen in this country.
Yeah, but
I don't know anybody who doesn't believe the government is keeping secrets.
Of course the government's keeping secrets. They're keeping secrets about everything. Why not aliens too?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of those secrets that, I don't want to know some of them secrets.
Well, you could shut it off. I mean, you don't have to necessarily. It's not a big deal, even if there was a civilization within range of travel distance of Earth, and suppose that they were doing research or whatever, it's not really that abnormal to think about, because if we go out into space, and when we finally leave this star system and start exploring the galaxy, and we find out that there's other alien species out there, that are less technologically advanced than we will be then, we're gonna want to study them, surely, and their behavior, because it reminds us of ourselves, what we used to be like, right? And we'll want to document it, obviously. I don't see that as being all that terribly unusual, and I think that's probably some of the biggest motives that an alien species might have to visit Earth. People always ask, "Oh, why would they be interested in us?" It's like, well, because maybe we remind them of someone they know.
Well, if you ever watch Star Trek, I mean, that's one in that show. They come across less technological species. They study them.
Oh yeah.
Just for that exact reason.
Yeah, all the time. Curiosity. Yeah. Yeah. Why not? You can. If you're gonna go out into the galaxy in spaceships, you may as well have a look around.
Study everything out there. I mean, hell, we're still trying to learn everything we can about our own oceans.
Well, and this solar system, in both locations, they're inside the solar system. And there's not a hidden civilization anywhere. We don't think. I mean, there may be some alien remnants on Mars or maybe Europa or something, but
we don't have the technology to be able to tell if there's other life out there yet. So
no,
until they either introduce themselves or we acquire the technology, we get to wait.
We have to wait, yeah. But I think that day is coming, probably inside my lifetime still. How the government will deal with it, I don't know. I can imagine them not wanting to, though. I can easily see that.
Our society right now is shoot first and ask later. So
I don't see that changing
anytime
soon.
I don't see first contact being a good thing.
Depends where it happens. If it happens out in space, it's different than if it's here, I think. If it's out in space, and if it's not, if we're just running around ourselves looking at and exploring, I could see us mandating a crew of scientists to, make an attempt at peaceful contact first. It's in our interest too. You don't want to start fights with every bloody neighbor you have in your stellar neighborhood.
Well, if we have an armada of ships suddenly show up in orbit around Earth, I mean, it's gonna worry some people. Yeah, it will worry people. Definitely. One ship were to show up and it's not very big and imposing,
yeah,
it'd be a slightly different story,
but it still would be able to lay waste to the entire civilization without too much effort. But that's beside the point. You're probably right.
It'll be interesting to see what happens, but not gonna be. It's gonna be very traumatic one way or the other, I'm sure.
Well, from an alien perspective, and you have to look at it from their side too. I mean, you can imagine they not wanting to meet us necessarily out in space where they don't have control. They'd rather, before we acquire the ability to move faster than light, they might want to introduce themselves to us here.
Well, if there are aliens, we're probably under surveillance, and they're keeping tabs on us.
Probably.
They probably don't want to introduce themselves yet because we're all a bunch of warmongering idiots yet.
Mm-hmm. And we still have nuclear
in their minds, so they're waiting until we calm down.
Yeah, I'm sure we will at some point, but just like I said, it's a slow process.
Yeah, you get individuals in society that are calm and mellow-headed, but most of them that end up in positions of leadership, they're not very calm and collected.
No.
They're the jumpy trigger happy ones.
I was thinking, you mentioned Star Trek. I was thinking back at it was a farmer in one of Earth's first contacts with the Klingon species. The Klingons are, of course, the bad guys of the old series.
Yeah.
They explained that a little bit. It turned out to be an Oklahoma farmer confronted with two Suliban chasing a Klingon. The Suliban bugged out at some point, and the Klingon was left standing at gunpoint opposite a Oklahoma farmer who had a shotgun buried, halfway up the Klingon's chest. And the Klingon and human, they didn't communicate with each other. Obviously, Klingon doesn't speak English, and Oklahoma farmer, far be it for him to learn Klingon when he never even seen an alien before. So although he's heard about them, he decides that it'd be a better idea as this gigantic Klingon starts moving menacingly towards him to shoot the Klingon. The Klingon wasn't doing anything of the kind. He wasn't going to hurt him, but it was his.
How do you know?
Yeah, well, it's his land, damn it! Get off my land.
Yeah, we're all a little bit excessively possessive sometimes.
Klingon didn't have a way off his land, by the way. The Suliban were the ones with the spaceship. The Klingon had simply escaped them. Anyway, it'd be some confrontation like that you would like it to not be first contact. It leads to tepid relations with the Klingon species from that moment on, unfortunately. What am I doing? There it is. Wolf 562. Okay, back.
This is a lot easier not having to actually use an SRV to go scan these data points.
Where did you learn about this? I've heard of this method before, but I either thought my ship was too big or...
Basically, all the ships have the data point scanner on them. That was quite a while ago in one of the updates that got put on them.
Oh, okay.
And I've been kind of curious, so I figured out how to try it. Well, I'll go up to it, right up to the thing. I mean, I'm literally putting the nose of my ship on it before I can target and scan it.
And you're doing this. You're doing this with the Python?
Yeah, I'm doing it with my Python.
Okay.
If you want to try and open up the multi-crew thing so you can jump in here and watch it happen.
No, I was gonna go try it myself, actually.
Oh, that works too.
Yeah.
I gotta fuck shit. I've got most planets. I'm not like that now.
Yeah.
Okay, I got...
Go 424.
109 Piscium. 109 Piscium. Okay, my last three are all in the same star system.
Landing gear retracted.
Landing gear retracted.
You got your data link scanner. That's the one that you use to scan the data points.
Yeah.
I actually have that one tied into my regular scanner, so when I pull the trigger to do any scanning, both of them try to run at the same time.
Yeah, no, I do have the data link scanner. I didn't know what module made it available. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a part of a core system right now. As soon as you have sensors.
It's basically quite a while ago. It became part of the core system, but
yeah.
I was into Googling it, and yes, last night I found some recon limpets, and I was figuring, okay, can I shoot one of them at the data thing to get it to...
Yeah, I did also try using the limpets, and they just crash into the ground and then stop. They don't really do anything.
Well, I said they're trying to target the damn thing, and I had to basically touch the nose on the data point before I could do it, target it. It's like, well, hell, I pulled the trigger and scanned. It's like, awesome. So now I found a way to do this, and I don't have to sit and kill everything. I'm still getting fines and bounties for trespassing and shit, but my ship can take a lot more shooting than the SRV can. I've only lost 1% of my hull, and I've yet to actually have my ship shield levels drop. But as soon as you scan it, up and fly away, so
yeah,
they don't get a lot of shooting time anyway.
No.
So yeah, this should pull me an easy 10 million or better. I don't even know how much I've got gathered up here with these, but when I finally go turn them in, as long as I don't get my ass whooped, I need to go find an engineer at some point and build up my engines. But I think I want to get the Class A engine in here, but do I want to keep this ship? Once I got the money to buy something else, I have to decide that too. I could probably go buy a Type 10, but I don't think they're going to be fast enough to outrun anything.
No. King's Inheritance. Locking. Laying in a new course.
Yeah, I logged all these planetary and Civil War scan missions from the same base, so it took me a while to clicking in and out of menus to get enough of them logged. So they're anywhere from 1 million to 3 million credits a piece. That should make a bit of money.
Yeah, this is just, I'm just doing this delivery contract. I didn't realize it was in the same system. Sometimes they give you missions now, they're inside the same system. This is where you...
When I first started playing this game, I found my way to Leon Rui territory, and about 15 light years from his home base is the Tangaroa system. There's 2 planets there and 2 star bases. Well, they were in a time of famine, and I sat there just shuttling shit back and forth between the 2 stations, and I basically became friendly with all of them. There's only 2 factions there I'm friendly status with. The one is the criminal faction. I don't give a shit to even go there, because most of their crap is running around killing people and losing faction with other places. So, and the other one isn't Tangaroa is the only imperial system in this area for the most part.
That's what really turned me off the
imperial rating, just because of shuttling shit between these 2 stations and doing everything for this one system.
The Empire at one point tried to hire me to go destroy a dolphin and everyone aboard to kill 2 people that were guilty of infractions in Imperial law of some sort. But they wanted me to kill them on board this. It was a wet work assignment, and they wanted me to kill everyone on board this passenger liner in order to get these other 2. And I was just like, okay, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to play the game that way.
This is a game at the end of the day, but you really want to play it where you're being
evil.
Like you wouldn't do in real life.
Orbital flight engaged.
No, it's
I don't like being a pirate or playing pirate role, so I'm not going to do that.
Well,
I'm not going to go around being an assassinator.
Exactly. I mean, it just didn't sit very well with me. You're going to just, in the end, I realize it's a game, of course, but I just didn't feel like I wanted to play a game where the objective was somehow go and kill everyone that you're told to go shoot, just for the sake of doing so. These people on this passenger line are completely innocent, Imperial citizens, presumably, and the Emperor's henchmen have ordered them killed, which I wasn't very fond of.
Now, there's been sometimes that I've shuttled criminals from one base to the other.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing anything illegal other than transporting someone illegal.
Yeah, and that's one thing, but I mean, killing people is something else.
Yeah.
King's Inheritance.
Anyone who's going to shoot at me, I'll probably shoot back at them, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go shoot just for the fun of it.
No.
Unless, of course, depending on the game, if it's a friend of mine. I played Grand Theft Auto with friends for a while. I always had a fun time with my one buddy. We just sit there trying to shoot each other.
Yeah, no, I played Grand Theft Auto, and I've dealt drugs, and I've been scum essentially in that game, But there's sort of a light.
That game too, though.
There's a light-hearted side to that. It's supposed to be doing outrageous things that are humorous to think about, stuff you'd see in the movies, right?
Yeah.
So.
That game just kind of mocks society in general, though.
Yeah.
The aspect of society.
Precisely.
I mean, the federal agencies, the FIB.
Yeah.
So that's just funny as hell.
Tulasi, Tango, Romeo, India. Comms link online. Regulate your approach speed.
Oh, crashing.
Scans if you are required to do so. Command.
Shields are offline. Taking damage. 68%. My descent vector was way too heavy, and I couldn't shut off one of my security panels again.
You are go for automated docking. Enjoy the ride, Commander.
Man, that's just playing with your modules or something.
And the autopilot just crashed into the base twice.
Oh, I've had that happen. That one day blew up my Asp Explorer 3 different times.
Jesus Christ. I've never seen the game behave this badly before. I crashed into a tower, and then at the base of this office tower on this planet's surface. I just like slammed my ship right into the bottom of it. It's amazing the building didn't come down on top of me.
You might just need to log out and log back in. That might straighten that out.
I don't know.
I think when shit like that happens, I think it's more lag between your computer and the server than anything else.
Well, it wouldn't process my controller. I was hitting the button to like shut off the panel so I could adjust my speed and change my approach vector, but it wasn't letting me shut the damn panel off. It was the system panel on the left side.
What do you use for throttle controls? You use a keyboard or what?
No, I'm using the Xbox controller, and I'm using the index finger buttons on the rim, on the north rim of the controller. There's two buttons there. One for left, one for right, and it's the left one that decreases speed, and the right one increases it.
So you're playing this on a computer or on Xbox?
Computer. PC.
Yeah, I've got the what the hell do I have? Thrustmaster, throttle and joystick, whatever.
No, the HOTAS.
Yep, the HOTAS setup.
Yeah.
So I guess all I have to do is just run my throttle down to 0 in the docking computer.
Now sometimes I wonder if the Elite chair, like one of these chairs that you get, that you have controls all arranged all around you, wouldn't be like a better model for this cockpit, because controlling the whole cockpit from an Xbox controller. The reason I went with the Xbox controller is what the military uses to control its drones with, right? So I figured, oh, this is pretty good. U.S. military's.
I've got a PS2 style controller, and I use that for driving in Grand Theft Auto and when I'm driving, but I can't fly anything with that. Shit.
No, but the U.S. military runs Predator drones and other types of drones using this controller, right? And they can.
That might be up to the preference of the pilot too, though.
Maybe, but a lot of pilots are running the drones with game controllers because that's what they know best.
That's the younger generation that's played a lot of video games on console.
Yeah, well, and you wouldn't put these people in the cockpit of an F-35 or an F-22, but
no, but you put them in a remote controlled vehicle halfway around the world.
That's right. Yeah.
Almost as scary.
They go into their office environment in Atlanta, and they control drones on the other side of the planet and bomb the hell out of the terrorists. Well, okay.
Just because they're really good at playing Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, military recruits them. Yeah.
That's the way the military's going, though. Why kill people? Why have your own people killed if you leave them in the office back home?
Well, that would be my view, yes. But we need to move past jet engine technology. I'm still waiting for my dream engine, the fusion thruster. It's the fusion impulse engine, basically. And if you don't have to worry about inertia, if you can use an Alcubierre-derived system both inside of a planet's atmosphere as well as out in space, well, that would explain some of what we're seeing out of the UFO videos that are coming out of Navy archives as well. If they're folding space right in front of them to a limited degree, well, of course they're moving faster than they should be able to. And of course there's no inertia for the aliens that are obviously inside the craft. Why? Well, because they're not really moving anywhere. They're moving relatively slowly in their own environment, but they're moving the universe around them. To us, from our perspective, it looks like they're moving impossibly fast.
Nope.
It's all relative. Let's enter the hangar. Starport services, and we're gonna finish a mission here. Mission. War supplies. 45 units of non-lethal weapons. Mission complete. $250,000.
Incoming message.
Good for you. Fix my ship, please. Okay, first of all, it'll cost me $20,000 to fix my ship. After my little accident, my mishap. And
your throttles. I suppose you got to click it up and down.
well,
one accelerates, one accelerates.
you run out of buttons after a while, so you have to do trade-offs between controlling one system versus another. And the trade-off here is I can control my panels very nicely, but for thruster acceleration, I have to have the panels all shut off to do it quickly. So right now.
Now, like this HOTA setup I've got a lot of the main functions right here in the controls.
Yeah, I've been looking at
a bunch of bindings on the keyboard yet too.
Whenever I find my next job, and I was on interviews again all day today, but whenever I finally settle on a job, I'll likely go get the HOTAS and a few other things. My shopping list is getting lengthy again. I need to buy a new scooter that it's effectively going to be an electric motorcycle. Which means I probably have to go get my motorcycle license this year.
I know, we all have our wish list right now. My wish list is pretty small. All I want is a new monitor, so all three of my monitors are the same.
Well, the reason I need the motorcycles because well, first of all, an electric motorcycle is a lot cheaper than a real one, than a gas-powered one.
Yeah.
But the other thing is you can go further on them. They go faster and further than the conventional scooter. So I saw one last year. A guy drove around on, he was able to do twice my speed on his electric motorcycle that I was doing on my scooter. My scooter was going about 50 kilometers an hour, but he could go up to 80 or 90 on his electric motorcycle. And I was just like, oh shit, there's no way I can compete with that.
He might have had his modified too, though.
Yeah, well, I know how to modify them, so. You just pull. There's a governor wire that the Canadian government insists that you have installed to sell scooters here.
If you have a gas-powered one, you can modify them too. Then.
Oh yes, quite certainly. Here you just need a pair of.
My buddy's got a 50cc moped, and he wants to
soup it up.
That up, like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the advantage for me is I just take out the wire cutters and I snip in one spot, and there goes the governor. So at that point I can go as fast as I want. But now this new one, they've got a Bluetooth chip in there, and I got one from an insurance claim because my other scooter was stolen, but I had a zero deductible, so I got a replacement. And the replacement scooter does interface with my cell phone, but It doesn't seem to want to go 50, at least not according to the speedometer, but that could be deliberate. I don't know exactly how fast it's going. It does seem to go faster when I take the menu and I move the slider bar up and down. Saying that,
I know I've got a four-wheeler, or an ATV, and when I first got it, it maxed out at 59 mile an hour, but I put new tires and rims on it, and I got new ATV tires, off-road tires,
yeah.
and I can only do about 55, 56 now.
Huh.
So, I mean, there's enough things in there. I mean, with any vehicle, depending on your tires, there's so many variables that can dictate it.
True. If I have to, I'll hack the Bluetooth chip in this bike so I can figure out how to get it to go faster than it's supposed to otherwise. But I don't want to do that unless I absolutely have to.
Well, with your computer background stuff, you're probably better at that than I am.
Well, we'll have a look anyway. Let's see what I can figure out. Yeah, the dealer actually wanted to. He proposed to me, made a proposal to me. He said I should let him know if I have any luck hacking the chip, and he said he might have some business for me. It's like, well, it would be under the table, I'm quite sure, because the government of Canada doesn't take kindly to people modifying their chips to go faster than the regulations say the bike should go.
Ah, damn it.
Strategic
bounce on the ground.
data transfer. Well, I fixed everything. Like I said, it only cost me an extra 20,000, which, you know, I made way more than that on this trip, so I'm good. Galaxy map.
The data. There it is.
I need to know.
Maneuver the ship in to get to the data point sometimes is interesting.
Services.
At least 2 skimmers here. This one might be more fun.
Wait.
Might get shot up more.
Wait. Oh, come here. Oh, there's 3 stars right there, and I can't pick the one I want. 397. Okay, got it. Locked. Okay, this is interstellar factors, exiting the system and launching.
Here we go. Full throttle.
109 Piscilum.
Oh, you're heading here or what?
No, I'm just noticing what system you're in.
Oh, yeah, this system, the one base here is actually pretty good for getting most of your higher level modules and stuff.
Oh, you're kidding me. You know what? Sorry to interrupt, but this planet I'm visiting, the reason I crashed is because the gravity is much heavier here.
Oh, you weren't quite used to the counteracting the gravity?
Oh my god, it has 2.87 Gs of gravity. That's what did it. It had nothing to do with it. Holy shit, there's almost 3 Gs of gravity on this world. I can barely... I'm having trouble taking off with my thrusters because it just won't accelerate very fast.
Yeah, point your nose straight up 90 degrees and just floor it and wait.
Well, I'm gonna turn on... I'm gonna use my...
You can do on the big ones.
I'm gonna use my main drive to get the hell out of here. I wasn't even aware that... This is in the Wolf 564 system? 562, sorry. So that system I declared as my new home system is the one that's 3 planets where the G-force on the worlds is very heavy.
They're big planets, then.
They're big planets, exactly. Big and dense. Holy crap. There's an atmosphere on this one, or what looks like one.
I don't know about that. I didn't think that we were able to go into atmospheres yet.
Well, I think technically it says 0 atmosphere, but there's like dust or something that's rolling along the surface, you can see. Yeah, so the first Planet 1 has 3.85 G. It's almost 4 Gs there. Planet 2 is 2.7 Gs, and Planet 3, the one I'm leaving, is 2.87 Gs, so it's nearly... Volcanism, oh, it's the volcanism I'm seeing. Silicate vapor and geysers, no atmosphere. So that's where we're getting our dust from.
Oh, you gotta be shitting me. This is the planet I just pulled off of, and I gotta go back?
Yeah, no, you have to go back.
My next scan?
And be scanned, yeah. Because you can never have enough scanning.
I'll have to go... I scan the data point on this planet. Well, once I got the information, they start shooting, so I pull up and take off all the planet, go to look for the next one, and go back to the same damn planet again. Actually, I think all three of these missions are all on the same damn planet.
Planets 2 and 3 in the Wolf system are both 60% metal. They're high metal content. So that's why they're dense, and that's why I'm going to come back here and mine the hell out of them at some point.
Too bad you can't do tank team mining.
Oh, you can if you have 2 ships.
Yeah, but you still basically you got to call your ship back and have it come to you every time you fill up your 2-item cargo hold on your SRV.
Yeah. Oh my god, the engine's overheating.
It's trying to get off the planet?
Yeah. It's at 85% heat, but I've got a heat sink on this thing, so I can dump the heat off the ship if I want.
Temperature critical.
Have you hit your Python yet?
Oh yeah, I'm in the Python. Everything's fine. Okay, we're headed.
I've rarely had issues with the heat getting above 80% on mine.
Headed for Zelig Depot. 66 light seconds and away. Closing on 30 minutes, 12 minutes, 10, 9, 8, 7 minutes, and reducing. There we go. 8, 7, there we are. In orbit above planet Gold, which does look goldish, but or gold-plated, but it's not really. It doesn't have any gold there, I don't think. You know, it does have gold in our star system, though, or the asteroids. They say the first trillionaires will likely be men and women who lead companies or own companies that will go mine the asteroid belt.
First they gotta actually get to the point they can get to the asteroids.
Well, the SLS, hang on. The SpaceX's recent rocket boosters technically can get you to the asteroid belt.
How long does it take to get there, though?
Well, the asteroid belt's circular, so you just travel directly there.
You know what I'm saying? There's always a travel time between here and there.
Yeah, probably a few months. 6 months, maybe.
Be an awful long, boring drive.
Oh, they'll give you stuff to do. You'll have your exercise. You'll have your exercise machine, and you'll have, you know, video games to play. I'd love to play Elite with someone who's really in space.
At that point in time, playing the game wouldn't be much fun anymore. I know, just like hunting games.
Yeah.
I can't stand playing hunting games.
Because you actually go hunting.
Yeah. I've shot guns. I've got a bow and arrow. I mean, I archery hunt.
Yeah, but if you live in a city,
game and shoot somebody with a bow and arrow, it'd be pointless.
Yeah, but if you live in a city, having a VR helmet with a virtual archery set would be a little bit. You can almost imagine you needing it after a while, because Otherwise, you'd be missing out. The nearest place you could go hunting from a city would probably be 20 to 30 kilometers outside the city.
Deploying ground.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you want to just go shoot your bow just to shoot it, there's a lot of indoor ranges.
Well, and if
That's one thing.
if it's a virtual bow inside of a city, you can shoot your bow at anything you want to inside the urban center. People, cars, buildings.
I can go down the archery range here in town on Main Street and I can go shoot my real bow at real targets.
But not at real people.
No. I could, but it'd be a bad idea.
You'd be getting into trouble with the law again.
Yep. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta run and find the restroom.
Okay. Starport Services. Welcome to Zelig Depot. Ah, interstellar vectors. All right then.
Where are you even?
Hey, how you doing? I'm actually at Zelig Depot, which is still in the cloud. The reason I invited you to join the wing is because I was wondering if you might be interested in taking down some Thargoids tonight.
Well, I was gonna go check out the CG.
That's sort of
exactly the terms. I was gonna just go after some scouts down in the weeds. I don't know the details, the deets. I don't know if the Cyclops count or not, but.
Oh, well, I'm sure they do, or something. Depends on what debris field they leave. But yeah, I was gonna go arm up my Python with the anti-Thargoid weapons, and then put a wing together, which I'm in the process of doing, as you can probably see, and get and go and beat up some Thargoids.
What kinds of ships we got?
Well, 2 Pythons so far, and your ship, whatever you're flying today.
Ship of the day, I suppose.
Why? 3 Pythons?
It is actually 3 Pythons.
Oh my goodness. 3
We're
little...
really loaded for AX at the moment. I do have 2 plasma chargers, but
have you tried doing...
go.
Have you tried doing have you tried doing engineering mods of the AX weapons?
You can't.
You can't.
They're locked out.
Okay. I'd like to get some corrosion on the AX missiles and see if how the Thargoids like having their hull eaten away on them. But anyway.
Their hull neutralizes corrosion immediately.
So it's useless.
Yeah. If you fire the enzyme missiles at them, it doesn't have any effect.
Okay.
The enzyme missiles are, basically, they're like the apex of corrosive damage.
Yeah. Well, no, I have corrosive weapons on 2 of the gun ports here, and I just recently got my faction's heavy machine gun cannon, the Enforcer multi-cannon.
Well, they're smalls, though. They're good guns. They're just, you're better off having mediums on a Python.
Yeah, no, in general that's true. I'm using them on the to save mass and weight restrictions on the Diamondback that I have, which now goes above 50 light years. I'm pleased to report.
That's good.
But so how's your week been?
Same as always.
Same as always. Yeah, I went on several more interviews.
That's good. It's good that you're getting interviews.
Well, I get lots of interviews, and not necessarily for jobs that I want or will fill, but I'm going on interviews. Hopefully that will be updated again soon. I don't think I'll be unemployed too much longer. Usually when the interviews start happening more rapidly, that's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely.
But I've been kept busy during the day with that, or training with Python, or the programming language Python, not the ship.
I wasn't sure for a second there.
Yeah. I don't think we have... oh, yeah. And, oh, yeah, the crate. When's the crate coming out?
Hopefully soon. I'd love to fly one. But probably not for a while, if I had to guess. Especially with them being sort of bogged down by all these bugs that they're having problems with.
Yes, I noticed that, and I actually wrote them not a nasty email, but a tweet reporting I was starting to get a little frustrated with all the bugs I was encountering. Well, they did that server upgrade, and they had their 3 top-of-the-line developers. They introduced them as, who came out and did the interviews and everything on YouTube yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? Some point this past week after the update. And, yeah, we're going to update the server tonight, and everything will be better. And it's like, okay. And it got progressively worse, buggier and buggier, until logins failed, and it was just like, okay, something goes horribly wrong here. But, I mean, even as a software designer, I'm just having trouble, like, is this Facebook related somehow? Facebook bought Oculus, so I'm blaming Facebook for everything. I'm thinking it's God's greedy.
I somehow doubt that it's Facebook related, but, I mean, I guess it could be.
They got their grubby little hands and everything.
How, but
I just like blaming them.
Right? When a fucking encryption key can take out hardware.
Well, the thing was with Facebook, they're a software company, so you think the marriage of a hardware company to a software company should be a good thing, but no.
Not when it's Facebook.
Not when it's Facebook. They for some reason forgot. Oh yeah, that's right. They're DLLs on Windows that need a security key to actually work. It's only in the hardware specification on page 1.
Yeah.
Everyone who manufactures hardware for Windows has to, even if you set the key to 2067 or some distant date in the future, you have to have a key, so that no one else copies your libraries and records all of your, authentication media or whatever. And of course, you do have to log in to use the Oculus.
A threat 3? What the hell's a threat 3, not human source?
Ooh. Yeah, I just love the what was it? The debris fields that are threat 4. You go in. There's nothing there at first. You start collecting the debris for your engineer. And then suddenly, poof, 4 ships show up. One of them is an Anaconda. Expert or dangerous level Anaconda. Alongside an Asp Explorer, a Python, and, they'll throw in a Chieftain just to make it fun.
Yeah, I wish they would make the new vessels a little more common. Like, we need to be seeing, like, Chieftain pirates and Type 10s all over the place. And
yeah. Well, I'm saving up for my Type 10, or at least a Type 9, if not a Type 10.
Well, the Type 9's basically pure cargo and mining, so...
Yeah, but they improved it quite a bit. It's now got more cargo and...
Oh, it's got a crap load of cargo, but...
Yeah. And you get...
That's all it can really do, is what I'm saying.
And it gets an extra...
Type 10 can do combat, it's just kind of a brick.
Yeah, but the Type 9 also gets an extra fighter bay now. Now you can have 2 fighter bays. Instead of just 1.
What? 2 fighter bays?
Apparently.
Well, what purpose would that serve? You can only ever launch 2 fighters.
You can have more... On the Type 9, you can have more than 2... You can have up to 3 crew. So... You can have 2 human players fly your fighters while you stay aboard the mothership, or you can take command of one of the fighters yourself.
But you can't use the fighters if you're in multi-crew.
Yeah, you
You're
can.
the helm. No, you can't.
If you're helm, no, that's true. Yes, if you're helm, you can't. That's correct. Yeah. Do you have to be helm? Yeah, I guess you have to be helm if you own the ship.
Well, yeah.
Otherwise, you'd be letting someone else have your ship. Hey, where are you going?
I really wish you could let someone take the stick, so to speak.
Where are you going with my ship? Well, it's my ship now.
I would let people fly my ships. I mean, I wouldn't I wouldn't go walk away somewhere unless it was like one of my real life friends, but I would definitely enjoy letting people try out ships.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
They don't have
somebody damage a ship, though, really.
Well, they could damage your ship, I guess. Possible. But with 2 fighters on escort duty, it would be a lot harder than it would be without the fighters there, that's for sure. But it just strikes me, like, for the same reason that they don't let SUVs come on board your ship. Well, I guess an SUV is a little different. You don't have to let them necessarily take helm.
My God, what a travesty. A docking computer on a fer-de-lance?
Oh, my God.
You don't understand, dude. The fer-de-lance has one of the lowest numbers of internal modules of any of the medium combat ships. And someone put a fucking docking computer in there.
But my God, are they
you
ever...
You can have literally anything that would be better than a docking computer. A portable shitter would be better than a docking computer.
They're really annoying, though. I got into a fight with one. And I killed the NPC player. This is one of the game bugs we encountered the night before last. I killed this guy like 5 or 6 times in his fer-de-lance. I kept killing him over and over again. He just wouldn't die. He kept coming back to haunt me somehow.
What, an NPC?
NPC fer-de-lance, yeah.
I think I've seen that happen sometimes.
It's like, he won't die. His ship, I blew it up and it's back again. Anyway. 36 of Faiki. Let's go there. So, you let me know if you would like to join up and kill some Thargoid scum.
Guys coming out here, or I mean?
Well, it's not. You're not that far away. I mean, I can see you on the map.
But I'm where the killing's to be done.
I know. Would you like?
You're not.
Would you like me to come?
The ball's in your court.
I see.
It's more if you want to come kill Thargoids with me.
So you're
get out here if you do.
In other words, you're already killing Thargoids.
Not really, but I'm in the system for it.
Oh,
I'm in
okay.
the system with the CG.
I'll finish off my mission.
Few other folks about.
Then I'll head down there. I'm starting to feel hungry too. I've been sitting at this console a little too long. I keep forgetting I have to eat something. Unlike in the game where you can just survive forever somehow without nourishment. In real life, you need nourishment.
Yeah, you'll pick my bones clean, Greenhorn. Sure you will. Hot shot, competent Cobra.
Yes. Where is it? And who else is in here? Oh, Nanhat. It's Nanhat. And his Corvette. Ah. Yeah, I think Nanhat's the one who offered to buy me an Anaconda, and I said no.
How exactly would he accomplish that?
He was gonna dump a bunch of cargo and, well, give me basically enough resources and money vicariously.
FYI, that's a major pain in the ass, transferring money that way.
Yeah, but he has the money to do it, and that's the other reason I didn't do it. Oh, here's a star system everyone should know about, Hag Hole.
I don't know why anybody would ever volunteer to do that, though. It's because it's going to take so much time to dump that much cargo.
I don't know. He offered. I said no. That's the end of it.
Maybe he just wants more big ship targets or something.
Yeah, I think he may also be the guy I surrendered to in order to get on his good side. Back when I had an ASP Explorer. Of course, nowadays, if a Corvette attacked me, I'd just run away, because he could never keep up.
Well, I mean, Corvette, with enough firepower, they can boost to about 380. I'm guessing your Python probably boosts to around 4 to 450, so...
450, yeah.
Yeah, they could keep up with you long enough to give you a good bloody nose, especially if you made some mistakes, like trying to low-wake.
Yeah, but don't forget, I have also got 670 shields.
That's nothing to a Corvette.
Really? Okay. You said I had good shields.
Oh, they're okay for a Python.
My phone's ringing again.
I mean, mine's 831, and they're damn bi-weaves.
Oh my god.
They're practically disposable.
Yeah, that is pretty disposable, actually. 831 on your shields?
Yeah. Yeah, on my Python. And I'm not running 4 boosters, 3 boosters, and a heatsink.
Huh.
Yeah, you get a lot more than that if you run prismatics reinforced, but I'm anti-power play, so I don't have prismatics.
Yeah, I participated in power play because I got sucked into it, and now I'm running around voting on things and actually trying to further the cause of, for some reason, further the cause of my chosen faction, a dictatorship.
It's a really, really terrible thing to do, to put a module like prismatic shields behind a faction rank lock.
I thought so, because it's made Aisling is her name, I think. Aisling Duval. It makes her, you know, apart from the fact her picture is like the hottest girl in the game. She's also.
Yes, that is probably a contributing factor.
It probably is, yes.
Supports her.
But she's one of the most popular people to pick because of that prismatic shield of invincibility. And
well, not invincibility. Some people trust in the shield too much, and then they get torped and torn apart by a tiny little ship that targets their modules.
Yeah, but you got to face it, against conventional weapons. That shield is pretty impregnable.
Of course, against conventional weapons, it's very effective.
Yeah.
Especially in PvP engagements.
Yeah. Yeah, but
usually it's
soon as someone
singular engagement and the fire doesn't cease, so you don't really get the regeneration advantage that you can get from the bi-weaves. The bi-weaves are far and away superior for things like conflict zones and bounty hunting because they regenerate so fast that you're basically not suffering continual attrition like you do with prismatics. With prismatics, I've been on some people's ships where they've literally had to stop and reboot the fucking ship to get their shields back in between bounty hunting.
No, yeah, because they take so much goddamn energy, and
it takes so long to rebuild them, to recharge them.
Well, they
have a terrible recharge time, and they're so large.
And they're so large, yeah. Well, I was told it was the largeness, like the Anaconda. They had the prismatic shields on their Anaconda, and they had to shut the ship off or dock it at a space station in order to get the shields back. Even docking at a station was still.
Well, you can also turn off all the shield boosters. If your shields are down, you can turn them all off, and your shields will rebuild faster.
Okay.
Then you can turn the SCBs back on and pop a shield cell back, or turn the shield boosters back on and use a shield cell bank if you have them.
Yeah, I suppose. Those only go so far, and you can't keep reusing them because they trade heat for shield points.
Oh, of course, but, shield tanking, SCBs are critical to shield tanking.
Yeah.
Not that I'd really know, I've never really been a shield tank.
No. But
because I don't have prismatics.
But it's interesting that you said about the bi-weaves. I mean, they aren't the heaviest, dutiest shield you can get, but they do regenerate quickly. There's no question. Okay, so exit, go and launch, and we'll finish our
50 credit fine for reckless flying.
Woo!
Ridiculous.
And the new justice system's been installed, so now you'll be either anonymous or locked out of the system unless you pay your fine.
Oh, well, so what? It's 50 credit fine.
Docking clamps retracted. Regulate speed until clear of exclusion zone.
Honestly, don't give a shit.
I don't pay my fines on principle or lack thereof.
Everything should be a fucking fine in this game.
I think they're headed there. It's just a matter of time.
We gotta go back, tear all this down, and go back to the old days when it was the Wild West.
Yeah. And the witch trials were out there. So if you had a prismatic shield, it's burn the witch.
Well, before prismatics, it was just SCB shield tanks. Before prismatics and SCBs, when they first came out, didn't generate heat, so you could just load tons of them into your ship and just keep popping them.
Mass lock disabled, going 3605 key. And I want more Kovas voices. Ones with American accents, please.
All clear.
Only if they're free.
And only if they're free, yes. Unless you really like Celeste. But
I don't really like Celeste.
You didn't like Celeste in her sexy voice? He talks with this outrageous French accent.
No, I don't like Celeste. She's, like you said, a Parisian slut.
A 20-cent Tudor harlot.
Yeah.
Fire key. Where are we going here? There's something here I'm supposed to do. No, shut that off. Go back here again and continue. There it is. Holy crap, it's around Star C. How many millions of miles do I have to travel to get there? Oh god. 0.14 light years. I'm not fucking kidding. I'm in Super Cruise traveling 0.14 light years.
Don't?
What?
Well, don't.
I have no choice. It's 3605. This is the curse of 3605 key.
Why? Why do you have to go there?
As I have 1,000,003 that's riding on the mission that I have for this sector, and I need the money. I need both the money and the reputation that I need to acquire in that area of the galaxy. It'll only take 15 minutes, but it'll just be boring. So thank God I have two people to talk to while I'm.
I think it'll take more than 15 minutes.
That's what it took. That's That's what it took last time. I made it up to nearly 1,000 C.
Chieftain. Uh-oh, somebody's getting shot. That looks like an NPC Sidewinder.
It only seems like more than 15
Overkill.
minutes. It's not really more than 15 minutes.
Chieftain. It's got like military green paint or something on there. Crazy horse.
The Crazy Horse?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I have 112, 891 credits, 891,000 credits data point for the Intel, points worth of Intel for the Empire. I haven't been to the Empire lately.
Military green Corvette. That's kind of slick.
It must be a human player.
It's the olive. Well, Corvette, obviously it is.
Why haven't they allowed the paint jobs to be decorating NPC ships? Because you can almost tell. They do? Okay.
You never notice the Cobras? I think it's only the Cobras, actually, though, come to think of it. But you never notice how the pirate Cobras have all kinds of crazy paint jobs?
No.
They even have some you can't get.
Huh.
They have quite a few you can't get. I think most people just don't notice. There's some really slick Cobra paint jobs that are NPC only.
Huh.
Oh no, this Anaconda's trying to crush an orca to land. Oh, you poor son of a bitch! Oh, that tool bag has a ship kit on his chieftain already.
Why in God's name would they not let you just jump the 0.14 light years to the star? Anyway. I wonder how far apart a star system has to be from any other star system in order to have its own jump point. There's obviously some kind of limit.
I think they got it so that you got to jump basically to a star.
Yeah, but how far away? If I'm in star A and star B is only a light year away, I get to jump to it. But at what point? Suppose star A is half a light year, like 0.5 light years away from star B. Now, is using hyperspace still an option, or do I have to just use jump space? In other words, use super cruise.
Probably use super cruise.
But it would take a long time to transit 0.5 light years in super cruise. I mean, you'll get there, within a few hours, but still, it's not. It's supposed to be a game. It's supposed to be fun. You don't want to just spend your whole freaking night sitting there. I think I agree with. Oh, he's gone. What happened to him?
I don't know.
I didn't even notice that.
I guess he didn't even say he's leaving or anything. So maybe
he got logged. He's not even logged in anymore. He may rejoin. I'll keep an eye open for him. Anyway, he's the other guy, and I didn't realize he was actually already there. Iron Jaguar. He lives in New York City. He's an interesting fellow.
Yeah, you can meet interesting people when you're playing games.
Yeah, after you actually use the voice interface. If you just use text, I mean, you make a little salute symbol, and that's about it for 90% of them.
I know the other game I've been playing lately is Defiance, and in our clan there's quite a few people from over in Europe that play, people from all over the United States. We might even have, I'm not sure couple of them I think are from Canada, but not sure.
There's always a couple from Canada.
It's pretty common to have Canadians in a lot of the American servers.
Yeah, this is a British game. I think the server that we're on is probably in England somewhere, physically.
Probably.
If they were going to locate one in North America, it would be in Halifax, Nova Scotia, here in Canada, because that's where Frontier maintains a Canadian office, believe it or not. And they sell product in North America through the Canadian office for some reason.
Well, that's the way it goes. The company I work for, we're trying to, the company I'm working for is trying to become partnered up with a Japanese company so they can get into the Japanese markets.
Yeah.
To sell our products rebranded as this company's products.
Okay.
So.
I think there's probably demands amongst Japanese consumers for American products that are not being met because the Oriental nations are very protectionist about their trade practices, far more so than we are, or than the Europeans are. And
the Japanese, I guess the head honchos were talking about it one day, and the Japanese traditionally only do business with Japanese companies. I mean, they like to do business with companies that have been around for a long time. And this company, they're technically our competitor, but we're going to partner up with them, and they will sell our parts. We'll just put their logo on our parts, and then they sell them to Japan. So ultimately, we're selling our shit. So it don't really matter who's labeled on it. But
plus the Japanese government will give you credit for selling products that were not of Japanese manufacture, but employ Japanese staff and involve the Japanese economy. So that's usually what sells you into those markets. Between Canada and the U.S., it doesn't even matter anymore, like really which country you're in. Frickin' Trump, bloody Donald Trump is lying through his teeth. He didn't even bother checking. Did you hear about this one? He goes and says to a bunch of people, he's at a talk of some sort in California, a speech in California, after going and evaluating these walls with Mexico. And he's talking about how, he's bragging about how he lied to the Canadian Prime Minister about the trade deficit. That America has a trade deficit with Canada. Actually, it's the other way around. Canada sells less to the United States than we buy from you. And it turns out Canada buys more on the services side than we sell on the natural resources side to the U.S. by about $2 billion a year. And that's the United States Commerce Department's own figures.
Well, you figure Trump is a businessman.
You'd think he'd know, but he was bragging about it. It just drives me nuts.
The biggest thing that I've noticed about Trump is, since he comes from a business background, he's not a politician. So he does business. So he'll effectively lie, cheat, and steal within reason to ultimately get his goal.
Yeah.
He's probably not as corrupt as most politicians.
Do you really think
he's going to do things from a business aspect, not from a political aspect?
Yeah, but his business is, you say he's a business person. That's true, but he hasn't been a very successful businessman. His money comes from family, number one. His father made most of the money. And number two,
as long as he continues to have income,
according to his tax returns, though, he doesn't. But I mean, I don't believe those either. But anyway, he's also led 4 major corporations, everything basically except the one with his name on it, the Trump organization that runs the office towers, real estate market in Canada and the U.S. Except for that one, which is still operating afloat, he has led 4 other companies into bankruptcy in the United States. I don't know why that isn't discussed. Like everyone treats him like he's some God-fearing, God sent to business, or that he's some sort of marvel of Western commerce, because he somehow has all this business acumen. Well, no, he was successful in that he basically led 4 companies into bankruptcy. As long as that was his goal, I suppose, then yeah, he was successful. But in terms of how the public here would rate someone who led companies like that into bankruptcy, it would have come up very early in the political debate, and no one would have let it drop. The opposition would have harped on it and harped on it and harped on it again and again. Why the Democrats didn't think that was a good idea, I don't know, but they let that one slip right through the cracks. He hasn't shown himself to necessarily be as successful as he's presenting himself as being. And it's a little maddening to have him then turn around and on a trade question that's going to affect both millions of people in the United States and millions of people in Canada as well. To have him turn around and then say, well, we're just gonna lie about the trade deficit and no one will notice. Well, no, we're gonna look at your Commerce Department figures and we're gonna find out exactly what your government's position is on trade. Obviously, if we're going into a major treaty negotiation, that's just rational. Do you think he's gonna pull one over on Justin Trudeau? Trudeau's not that stupid, and anyone who thinks he is, they're in for a hell of a surprise. His father was one of...
You figure at the end of the day, it's all business and politics.
Yeah, but you have to get up pretty early to fool the likes of someone with the last name Trudeau in Canadian politics. His father was a notorious man for being able to play the political game in this country. And it may not be exciting, but it does get complicated at times.
Yeah.
And it does in the States as well. I know that Trump is, he's handled it. He's got his following. He's got his core following. They will never leave him. That's something that no Canadian politician has. I'm sure they wish they did, but no one does. The vote here is very fluid, right? So people will vote for... But I guess you're right, that people got sick and tired of the old style of doing politics, except that at this point, I'm not sure if the average American feels that same way anymore. Is Trump a politician? If you ask most people today if he's a politician or not, well, he's president of the United States. That's the leading political seat on this planet.
No, I'm saying his background more than anything, but yeah,
he's not a politician. even by his own words, he's a politician. He's called himself a politician on CNN before.
Now you figure one of his biggest tricks in his playbook is to direct attention away from what his goal is.
That's true. Yeah.
He's very good at it. That's like you said, with how many businesses he's basically bankrupted. A lot of those businesses, he probably did that intentionally because they were competition. He took them over, he gutted them out, took what he wanted out of them, and got rid of the rest.
Probably.
That is America. That is basically corporate America.
Very likely. No disputing that. But at the same time, people need to earn money.
It sucks when you're the low man on the totem pole, like me. You're just the grunt making the parts, and all of a sudden, one day you find out your employer, they just got bought out.
Yeah.
You no longer have a job. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Now what do I do?
I've had that happen once. It's not pleasant, but I recovered. I landed on my feet. It wasn't an issue, but for a lot of people, it's not. It's not. It doesn't go so rosy for a lot of people. Luckily, I'm in a field, software development, that is in high demand right now. If that wasn't the case, I could, if I was in automotive repair or something, and someone just came in, bought my company, and laid me off, I'd be really pissed about it because I'd be going on welfare probably for a period of time, right? And no one wants to live their life like that, especially when Canada is like has been rated by the United Nations as one of the richest countries in the world, one of the best places in the world to live. Why in the hell can't we afford to pay for? Why should we have poor people, in our country? Why should the United States, for that matter? Although you could argue that the need for defense spending is such that it's sort of a necessary evil, but I just don't think so. Like, you can make people happy and comfortable without having to. And surely we're past the point. Surely we're past the point of having to suggest that, whereas money is incentive, not being employed. Like, if someone is just giving you money to scrape by, you're just enough to pay your bills and to live a little bit on the side, have a little bit on the side. Surely we're past the point where
that's pretty much the middle class in America now.
That would be considered lower class, or poor, almost impoverished here in Canada. Like, you have to do reasonably well. It has to be worth your time, basically. You have a job not because. My ideal is you have a job because you like doing what you're doing, not because you live to have a job and serve the interest of society. It's the other way around. Society exists to serve you to a certain extent as well. It's a symbiotic relationship, and you have to be able to. If the society isn't making you happy, well, then there's probably something not truly functional about the society you're living in. It's not true that you can't keep everyone happy. You can keep everyone relatively healthy and happy. You just have to spend the nation's resources in the appropriate way.
Well, that's one of the problems with America, is we spend too much money on things that we shouldn't be spending on. We spend it on importing immigrants from other countries, bring them here, and now there's all kinds of clashes in society.
Well, they got educated probably from the United States education system is national, whereas in Canada it's provincial, which isn't better, but it's just different. But in Europe, they're educating their young to be far. You study calculus in junior high now in German schools. Like, it's ridiculous just how much further along they are with their education system versus what we get taught here in North America. We have a great, what was it that Obama was saying? We have a great school system for the 1950s in the United States today. But this is the 21st century. It's 50 years later. It's time to update it. It's time to move it along. You wouldn't find immigrants such a threat if you didn't,
The immigrants I'm referring to are a lot of the Muslims, because unfortunately they come from war-torn areas, so they're more or less seeking asylum. Well, you're bringing them in and you're dumping them in some of the most understanding parts of the country and expecting everything to go smooth. Not really. There's a lot of anti-Muslims.
No, but there used to be, there is a lot of anti-Muslim sentiment. Some of it, I think most of it's probably undeserved, but it's there nonetheless. But I think, is that really the threat that when you look at someone who's of the Islamic faith, that somehow they're a threat to America? I don't see that. I don't see that here in Canada. The biggest threat from immigrants in Canada, where I live, is if the stresses come when you have everyone from one ethnic group move into one specific region. So, for example, in Ottawa, you have the Somali immigrants. A lot of the Somali immigrants that come to Canada, for some reason, have chosen Ottawa because they have family and friends here, and they know each other. So they come and they all live in exactly the same spot. So they have a familiar. It's very challenging if you're an immigrant. You're moving to a new country. You don't know anyone there. Anything that makes that transition easier for you is what you're going to gravitate towards. It's human nature. So it doesn't really add up to, I could see what you're saying though. Like, if you have an Islamic population from one Islamic country move into one specific region of America, yes, you'll stress that out, because you'll be displacing the cultural trends that pre-existed at the time. But I dream of a future.
So this part of the country, the Midwest area,
Yeah.
pretty much Republican.
Yeah.
Pretty much very conservative.
Very.
And unfortunately, a lot of the older generation is still very racist. Well, we got a lot of the Somalians and a lot of the Karen Orientals
Yes.
that have been moving in. I mean, a lot of the towns, larger towns, are actively trying to encourage these groups to move into them. While it's kind of starting to cause problems with a lot of the natives in the area getting real pissy because everything's changing.
I dream of a future. I dream of a future where we don't have borders anymore between Canada and the United States. Like, it starts there, but eventually that the Earth is a paradise for humanity, and where human beings can move wherever you want on the surface of the Earth. You're a human being. You belong here, and you should have the right to live anywhere on the planet that you want. This idea that we're going to set up borders between ourselves and have checkpoints, that's a recent innovation. In the 1800s, you wouldn't have had to worry about that very much. It started in the 1800s, but you still did, you could cross the border pretty much between Canada and the U.S. As long as you came far enough west, you could cross whenever the hell you liked. There was no checkpoint, right?
Well, if you get in, I've heard of people talk about if you get into a lot of the rural areas, you can still cross without worrying about it.
Yeah, probably. Eventually, INS or someone's going to get a drone picture of you if you do it too often. But a one-off, yeah, you can probably enter the United States. But then again, there hasn't been that much threat from Canada. Our seaports are very well guarded. So are airports. State of the art, everything in there. No one's getting in here without the proper amount of paperwork. But at the same time, they're not naturalized Canadian citizens for 5 years. I think it's 7 in the United States. Once you have absorbed Canadian citizenship, and you are a Canadian citizen, you're effectively a Canadian. Considered in every respect. And the research that we've done shows that the people who last 5 years living here treat Canada that way. They think of Canada as their home country. Some of them have dual passports. They go back to other parts of the world if they want to, but it's not the majority. It's a minority that do that. Most people who move from one country to another take the identities and the cultural mannerisms of the new country. You kind of have to, if you're going to move somewhere else. I wouldn't expect to move to Egypt or to Korea and not start absorbing Korean or Egyptian traditions.
My game decided to lock up me stupid.
What happened?
Oh, it won't let me click on anything and actually pull up any of the menus. I'm sitting in the station. I just turned in a bunch of missions when I was scrolling through other things. It just basically stopped giving me options to do anything. I can't get out of that screen so that I can even launch my ship.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah. Not showing any of the available missions. I mean, it started doing shit like that last night when it's...
Well, hang on a second. Are you, and you're not wanted and there's nothing else going on in the system that might cause that to happen? Because if the system's on lockdown, like you saw at 380, you couldn't do anything there either. All the missions were blank. If you came there to return a mission that you were working on, that was fine. But nothing else would work. And there were
it was showing me stuff, and I was just scrolling through things, and
it stopped.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking just log back to the menu screen and come back in.
Well, it's up to you. You're in Tangaroa. So
yep, I'm
actually,
at my home port right now.
Hang on a second here. Oh, Iron Jaguar's back. Hang on. And Rogers is calling me. Give me a second.
Alright.
Hello.
looks like now it's starting to kind of sort of work again.
Okay. I sent Iron Jaguar the invite again. I don't know what he's up to. Says he's here. Hang on a second. I'm giving him a ring. He doesn't always respond, though. He's from New York. He doesn't want to talk to you. He doesn't
I
want...
worked with, my last job, the guy I worked with, he is originally from New York. After the Vietnam War, he moved back to, or went back to New York for a while. But within a year, he moved to South Dakota because one of his platoon mates was from South Dakota. So he moved here. He's been here ever since.
Yeah, well, that's believable.
Well, needless to say, some of the shit I mean, this guy is 70 years old. So, I mean, some of the stuff he talks about, what New York was like back in his youth.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not be a place I'd want to hang out.
Yeah, there were... Winnipeg, you know what? Winnipeg, just a few hours north of you, Winnipeg used to have very segregated neighborhoods. You talk about immigration. Well, here was a city where you had European immigrants, like Polish people, Ukrainians, people from Eastern Europe. When they settled in Canada, they came to Winnipeg. And it got so serious that Winnipeg was actually set up eventually so that you had a Jewish quarter, you had a French quarter, you had a Polish quarter, you had a German quarter, a Ukrainian quarter, you know, different regions that represented different neighborhoods of the city that represented different ethnic groups. And it was just known throughout the city that if you belonged to ethnic group A, B, or C, depending on what your ethnic group was, you would go live with people from your own ethnic background. So I have this sense that, you know, this was sort of like expected back in the old days, and maybe it was racist or maybe it wasn't. I don't think it was specifically racist. It was a little bit odd. Like no one had any less rights, but you could be a German, you could literally speak German in your own community in North Kildonan in Winnipeg, and you never had to speak English. Like, you'd never have to learn. There was no reason for you to. Because you had plenty of help just in your own language speaking German.
But the communities weren't very integrated.
No, but over time that's what happened anyway. They started to break down. By the 70s it was well underway. There was still a little bit of, you know, the last names that you would see on people's houses from one neighborhood to another were still recognizable as, you know, being Polish or German or Ukrainian as late as the 1980s. But in the time I left Winnipeg in the 1990s, that trend was basically done with. So over time, people do get integrated.
Yeah.
I call it the 3-generation rule. After the 3rd generation has lived there, they don't think of themselves as being anything other than, you know, Americans or Canadians. That's it.
I know around here, as far as integration goes, I mean, you got certain parts of town, a lot of the apartment complexes around here, and I don't want to really say slum, but a lot of the lower income areas have a lot of the Somalians and the Karens right now. But
yeah,
it's of course a lot of the natives. We're the homeowners, so we pretty much go wherever we want. We don't live in apartment buildings, so.
Yeah, and Winnipeg is a little different. It was the Aboriginal community in Winnipeg, which was treated very badly by the Canadian government, far worse in many respects than the Americans ever treated their Aboriginal populations that occupied the impoverished north end of Winnipeg. And you would see it was so instantly recognizable. They absorbed the English-sounding last names of various families, but Winnipeg ended up being the largest urban center for Aboriginal peoples in North America at one point. I don't know if that's true today, but There's quite a few Cree that live in Winnipeg today. And they're urbanized.
I think South Dakota, actually has or is right up there for the largest number of Native American reservations.
Okay. Lots of casinos?
Oh, I hate those fucking things, but that's just me.
My father actually travels to them. He likes to get with. He doesn't gamble very often. He's not a gambler, but he goes. He used to go with his wife. She enjoyed them, so they'd go to a gambling resort on an Indian reservation somewhere out in the bush, and they would enjoy themselves there, and then they'd come back home at the end of a weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately, the continental United States is really no living in the bush anymore.
It is kind of sad, actually.
Yeah, there's some places, but I mean, even like South Dakota, we're one of the smallest population states, and it's most of this is agricultural. The countryside is. I mean, there's a lot of land set aside for wildlife and everything. One of the largest percentages in the country, but a lot of our wildlife gets along with being in agricultural areas, so not too bad of a deal.
So where are you allowed to hunt still in South Dakota? Do you have to go into one of these nature preserves, or do you...
No, outside of city limits. Pretty much go ask the landowner, ask the farmer, can I hunt your land? He says yes, you got permission. If he says no, go find another farmer. Or you go find some of the walking land. The state of South Dakota owns a lot of land used for hunting. A lot of other groups, I mean, a lot of farmers will put their land into CRP. Basically, they rent it out to the state, so the state manages it, and they let hunters on it. I mean, if it's CRP or if it's state-owned land or federally owned land, you can pretty much hunt it. But the downside is it's usually pretty heavily hunted. If you can find a farmer who's willing to let you hunt their land, you're better off.
In Canada, they're still using a license. We're always going to be using a licensing system. So you can go hunt on empty crown lands as long as you have license to do so, and they set quota limits for hunters, and there's natural resources police that go around and make sure that there's no poaching going on or overzealous kills of wildlife on any of the
we've
places.
got game fish and parks. They do the same thing here.
Yeah.
They basically survey the animal populations and decide we can give out X amount of licenses, and then they're up basically. Landowners get first dibs at hunting licenses, then the residents of South Dakota get second dibs on it, and then out-of-staters can try and apply for them. So pretty much once I've got my hunting license, like like my archery hunting license I've had for the last few years. It's East River. Most of our licenses are dictated by East River or West River because the Missouri River pretty much cuts the state in half.
Yep.
So that dictates. I mean, if you're going East River or West River, my archery takes anything in East River, South Dakota. I can hunt anywhere. If it's on federal reserves or animal preserves like that, I have to have another $5 permit I have to apply for, so that I can go hunt that land. Or if it's Indian reservation land, I have to have permission from the reservation.
Yeah, of course.
But for the most part, a lot of reservation land, or land that's in the reservation, is actually owned by white people, or Caucasians, or however you want to call it.
Caucasians, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to not offend it nowadays is nearly impossible.
Well, there is the conventional lexicon for politically correct speech, but white folk, Caucasian, I think everyone knows what you're talking about. I consider myself one of the most white-skinned. I consider myself one of the most white-skinned people I know of, being of Irish descent originally.
That makes sense. Chicken nuggets and fries.
Makes up for your brother too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm white, but you don't notice it if you look at my wife and kids, but they're part Native American.
Yeah, so I mean, they probably have darker skin than me because my skin is just
Probably not, because both my children are blonde with blue eyes, just like me.
Right. I also have blonde hair and green eyes. So, and St. Paddy's Day is tomorrow. Oh boy.
Well, I guarantee you, where I'm going to be sitting at most of tomorrow, nobody's going to bother trying to pinch me. There's going to be way too many sharp, pointy objects that can fly in their direction. Got an archery tournament tomorrow, so.
Oh, that's good. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I get to sit at the table and take registration since I'm a board member. I'm the secretary of the club, so I got to keep track
for
of
heaven's
that
sake.
happy shit.
I did try archery, my handed archery at one point. It takes a hell of a lot of practice, and to get it down to the point where I would feel comfortable hunting with it as a skill.
Now, once you get good, once you start hitting a target at 10 yards, you can stretch out to 20, 30, 40, 50.
Sure.
I mean, it's all comfort. I mean, last fall I shot the first buck I ever shot. I shot him at 66 yards. I mean, that's the longest shot I've ever taken at a deer, let alone actually get it. I just figured, nah, hell, I'll try it, and I got him.
But the composite bows and using their materials. I mean, when I was training with the archery tools that we were given, I think we had graphite stems with synthetic fletches and metal points on the arrow tips.
Yeah, carbon fiber is pretty common nowadays for most.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, that's all my arrows are, is carbon fiber. I've still got steel tips. My field points are steel.
Yeah.
But my hunting broadheads are actually aluminum bodies with stainless steel blades in them, because they're trying to maintain a certain weight.
But can you make them more accurate? Can you make them more accurate? Does the weight help? What about windy conditions? I mean, especially if this is outdoors. I was shooting indoors, so I didn't have to worry about wind.
You're getting into a big topic of many variables.
Yeah.
Weight of the arrow. If you just refer to the arrow itself, the weight of the head compared to the weight of the fletches and the nock compared to the weight of the shaft itself.
Yeah.
The diameter of the shaft. The size and orientation of the blades on the broadhead. If you're shooting broadheads, I mean, that all dictates things. If you got just a field point on there, it's a little bit easier to deal with. But in a crosswind, I mean, the crosswind's always going to push your arrow.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be an issue, but you learn how to compensate for it to a certain degree.
I was wondering if there's is there any technology that will help you aim more accurately with your bow at longer range, or is it just it comes down to the human element again, and that's all that there is to it?
My bow is like about 3 or 4 years old now. It's got the design of it is for the accuracy. That's what this company builds their bows for. They're trying to be the most accurate bow maker out there.
Right.
So they've gone and engineered the shape and everything, all the contours and everything. And it's a very rigid setup. The brace height, it's all engineered to hopefully be good. And then depending on how much draw weight you've got, that can affect how the arrow launches off the string.
That's true, yeah.
And the shooter itself, if I have a bad release, that will throw the shot off. So
but you know where I'm going with this though, with weapons, with guns, you can get a scope now, which, with laser sight pointing and a certain amount of automation, you can have a gun shoot from over a kilometer away at a target, like a rifle a rifle bullet, not a shot.
With a bow, they've got a lot of advancements. I mean, my sight on my bow is actually set up to shoot out to accurately to 100 yards. Which
Okay.
is like no way in hell most people shoot
Yeah.
an animal like that, but it targets. You can have all the technological advancements possible when it comes to archery,
Yeah.
but it comes down to the person releasing that arrow.
Yeah.
If I have a bad release, the technology is completely
Useless.
completely nullified.
Yeah.
If I have a good release, all that stuff. I mean, it's archery is not like shooting a gun. If you have a gun,
Of course
all
not. No.
it is for you, and it works great.
Yeah.
If I take that gun, I try to shoot it, I should theoretically be able to shoot just as good as you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with a bow,
That's a different
bow
story.
in the
Yeah.
setup is personalized to the individual shooter.
Yeah.
I can't take your bow and shoot as accurate as you can with it.
No.
It's impossible. It will not happen.
No.
So I mean, a lot of it is just the shooter, the person shooting the bow, has to be comfortable with the equipment that they have. And there's no right or wrong equipment. It's what works for them.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why there's so many variables. It's hard to get into. I mean, it makes it more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. No, I understand exactly what you're saying. It took, like I said, I still had my moment where I was hitting the targets, and then gradually over time, my forearm started to get tired on my draw, and I was having trouble keeping the bow in the direction where I wanted it properly to go.
Were you shooting a recurve or a compound or what?
It was, I think it was a compound. It was indoors, and it was a number of years ago. I ended up not doing archery. Instead, I took fencing, saber.
Well, archery is something that, I mean, it's becoming more and more popular, and with the technological advancements becoming easier.
Yeah.
And at the point where you're starting to physically fatigue and get sore and tired, that's the time you put it down, you come back and
Do it again
take
later,
another 20, 30 shots tomorrow. When we first start out, you don't want to go try shoot
No.
shots because you're just going to hurt yourself.
No, I took a year's worth of saber because edged weapons have always held a fascination for me, just out of nostalgia. And so I decided to do that, but I mean, archery hasn't been, I wouldn't call it disinteresting to me at all. It's, I'm intrigued still, but it's just a question of one of those things you'd like to try everything once in life. And I could tell that archery was going to be a skill I'd have to hone. And saber was a lot more physically demanding. You know, you're bouncing around a lot more, and you're facing an opponent that you have to have reflexes as fast as theirs. I remember actually I was paired against a North Dakotan man who was first year as well, and we had a melee go on for like a good 10 minutes, just trading blows back and forth. Neither one of us able to score points on the other, until of course he finally got through, just because I was fatigued.
Yeah. Well, you look at my family. Both my kids shoot. My son and my daughter shoot from time to time.
Yeah.
My wife does. I probably shoot more often during the spring, summer, and fall when it's nice enough to be outside doing it.
Yeah.
Neither of my kids have shot in a while. My daughter, she basically quit playing basketball. She's gotten into martial arts, and
Oh,
she
wow.
loves that. And that's basically her driving force right now. And my son wrestles, and he does martial arts. I mean, that's kind of what they want to do.
Sounds like your soccer dad almost, except with the martial arts.
Well, it's getting to the point that they're old enough that they walk themselves to the lessons, back to
Yeah.
the lessons. I live in a
Of
town
course.
of 25,000 people, so I mean, I can kind of let them go on their own within reason.
Yeah. Well,
They're
people
11 and 12 years
in
old, I don't have to.
people in bigger cities do the same thing. It's just not necessarily as you just probably worry a little bit more, but
Yeah.
there's still necessity there. I mean,
I still watch what my kids are doing, but
oh, you have to. I'd be terrible. See, I'm a programmer. If I had kids, I'd be a terrible father because I'd be watching everything that they would. I would be watching them in ways they'd never know I was watching them. Not until it was far too late.
Parenting becomes a thing when, as the children grow up, if you give them if you set a bar for them, they accomplish that goal. You set it a little higher. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Now, I mean, most of the time, I don't have to actually discipline them anymore.
No.
All I have to do is say, yeah, that was inappropriate. Don't do it again, and it's.
That's
They just know better.
Yeah.
So that's the way my kids are taught. So.
Are they? Who's your oldest? And
my daughter is 12. My son is 11.
Yeah. So when they get into their latter teenage years and they start becoming their own person and they start experimenting and testing the boundaries a little bit, that's usually where a lot of people find parenthood the hardest.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, at this point in time, my daughter's in junior high. I mean, she's. At the age that my kids are now, they're starting to develop their own personalities. So, I mean.
Oh, sure, absolutely. But
and if you tend to be more overbearing.
Yeah.
They're going to defy you more.
Yeah, they need to in order to become independent. They have an instinctive need to, I think. But
the main thing we teach our children is there are consequences to your decisions.
Yeah.
Before you do something, think about what's going to happen if you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to the store and you steal that handful of candy, what could happen?
What's the consequences to this? Yeah.
Yeah. That my kids know a lot of the dumb shit I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I mean, if nothing else, they know firsthand.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of dumb shit. I paid the consequences for it, and they're smart enough to learn from it. I mean, they ask questions, I answer them. I don't try to sugarcoat it or.
No.
Not tell them about it.
I actually waited. I was a model student going through my latter teenage years, and I got into university and everything. And then after I graduated and had worked in the software field for a number of years, I decided it was time to get stupid and try testing the boundaries. Then sooner or later, it eats away at you. You just become curious. So I did stupid shit in my latter 20s, but now I'm 47 years old. So the stupid shit is now behind me, but
I did my stupid shit when I was 19 and 20 years old, so.
Yeah, I was 10 years older. That's the only difference.
By the time I was 22 years old when my daughter was born. So I mean, between me settling down and starting my family and me graduating high school, I did a lot of dumb shit, got a lot of trouble with the law.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I've got enough life lessons.
My head.
So yeah, while we've been sitting here, I've been sitting in the station for a while now, but I was running around doing all those planetary scans of shit.
Yeah, I'm still 462,000 light seconds and 1177C. So
what I was gonna say is all those scan missions I did.
Yeah.
I got 16 million credits for it.
Wow. Well,
I did eight missions.
I did make
2 million credits apiece.
I did manage to eke out 3.5 million, and this one will put me over 4 as soon as I dock with a station. So I did pretty good, all things considered. But this last mission I'm on is all for reputation. I'm only going to make, I'm not going to make that much.
Yeah, I guess all my missions I usually kind of just take for the most part, I just take the money because this area, this space that I'm in, I've got decent reputation most bases. My home base, my home system, I'm maxed out with all but one faction.
Yeah, the more I think about this mission I'm on, a 36 Ophiuchi and with that star that's 0.14 light years from the arrival point that you have to travel through on Super Cruise through. It takes you about 20 minutes, or I think 20 minutes now, to get all the way to the station. like full throttle up.
Most of the jumps I make are to systems within 15 light years, and from the
yeah, but you got to count the arrival
to the port. I think is usually about 2,000 light seconds at most.
That's what you got to count, because but I didn't see. And the other thing is, they don't let you have colored bookmarks in the map, so you can't like colorize your system of bookmarks so that you know when you look at the galaxy map that, oh, this is a dumb system with a gigantic the gigantic time between the arrival point and the target stations in the system. Like, there's 2 stars that don't really have any useful planets or bases, and the third star, which is 1.14 light years away, is the one with all the stations on the planet's surface and in orbit above the planet. I'm just going to pull up the system map right now since I'm still far enough away. Yeah, so there's like, well, there are worlds in the orbiting the other 2 stars, but none of them have any stations or any infrastructure around them. All the infrastructure is around the 3rd star, so you have to travel all the way here to this like single base around planet 1 of star 3 or star C.
My advice would be to find a different area.
Yeah, no, I'm going to get out of this. Well, I'm just not going to come back to this star system, but I keep forgetting that 36 Ophiuchi is like this. But I've been here twice now, and eventually it will sink in. Don't come to this star system and don't accept any missions here because the arrival time is too large. What I should be doing is looking at the arrival times in the mission stats, like in the
it gives you down at the very bottom. It gives you that information.
And I tend to skim over it and just kind of ignore it instead of reading it like I'm supposed to.
This area here I've been in so long that most of them I know just by the name, and they don't have vague names.
Yeah.
There's one system I did jump into. It was an unpopulated system that had five stars in that system.
Yeah.
Can't figure out.
Well, no, I'm sure that probably does happen. I mean, in this game, if not in reality. I don't think it would happen in reality, but I can't cite a specific case where we've ever surveyed planets around a 5-star system, orbiting any of the stars in a 5-star system.
It was just kind of cool when I jumped in there about 2 days ago. I know I was on my way to go. What was it? I was jumping around to get myself to an interstellar faction.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. I just noticed something odd. It's 0.14 light years. I'm just going to move to the center of the galaxy, near Sagittarius A, where all the big stars are, right? So you travel the center of the galaxy, and you get to the middle of the galaxy, and you see all these damn stars. There's millions of them, right? It's the core of the galaxy.
Yeah.
You're seeing tons and tons of stars. They aren't separated by very much space, but you can jump between them. So I'm wondering if this 36 Ophiuchi phenomenon is probably unique. And I'm thinking it must be.
Yeah, if you jump into the center of there, that's got to be a hell of a trip to get there.
Well, if you go, you can go on your map and have a look, right? And when you look around,
I'm kind of looking at it now.
And you look around, and you see the whole galaxy laid out around you. This is sort of what it would look like. I've imagined it looking a lot like this at the center, near the center of our galaxy. And it's just freaking huge. Like, there's clouds of dust and vapor and all sorts of crap in every direction. You look straight up, though, and there's not much above you. And straight down, there's not much below you. But there are still technically millions of stars. You just don't see them.
We're about 25,000 light years from the center of the galaxy.
Something like that, yeah.
Plot route unavailable. Maximum distance exceeded.
Yep.
So I think in order to get there, it'd be a long time. But I don't know. Is there anything even stations or population clear out this way?
There's a couple of isolated stations. Some of them when you do exploring through the galaxy, you can actually reach places that are obviously someone's been there and they've set up buildings and whatnot. But the station itself is not populated, except unless it has to be by travelers. So you have a station that's just sitting there and it's waiting for humans to occupy it. For whatever reason. So if you're mining or if you're exploring, you can have a place to stay or park your ship or repair your ship or whatever. But it's not populated all the time.
You can't get missions and shit then from them?
No. That is a general rule. Sagittarius A, for its part, there are several videos on YouTube you may look at where people have traveled, made the 26,000 light year journey, traveled to the center of the galaxy, and they get to the Sagittarius A star black hole, the supermassive black hole around which every star in the galaxy orbits. And it's a really weird place because the black hole. I don't know if you've ever seen the black hole in the Pleiades. I can't remember which star system has it. It's Maya or one of it.
It's a Maya system. I've been there.
So
that system is spread out.
Yeah, but it's pretty weird. You travel near that black hole, and you get. I accidentally nearly jumped in on a black hole once. I didn't even realize there was a black hole in the system. But these stellar nurseries are places where there's high stellar concentrations, pockets of stars, basically. Sometimes have black holes. And you don't necessarily discover them until you pull out your scanner and scan them. And then you have to notice that they're there and not run into them. But you can always tell you're approaching a black hole when you start seeing the lensing effect. And you can get pretty close to them safely. I don't ever feel safe being close to a black hole. Because I think it's going to suck. I think it's.
If it's a cheap enough ship, I'd probably fly towards it just to find out.
Yeah, just to see what. But the one in the at the center of the galaxy, apparently you can enter it. You can cross the event horizon somehow using your star drive. And you shouldn't be able to because we sort of know what's on the other side of the event horizon. We think we know.
No, it's just that we think we know, so the game can get it. Safely let you do weird shit.
Yeah, the game is safe from an empirical standpoint, but they think most likely this is true, since light can't escape, since neither light nor energy nor matter of any kind can escape the gravity. You reach a point where as you cross the event horizon, you're vaporized because, well, what's on the other side of the event horizon? All the trapped light and energy that you could possibly imagine, and heat. It's being suspended there in the sky of this black hole that you've just crossed the event horizon of. So what will naturally happen? You'll be exposed to all of it instantly as you cross the event horizon. That will probably mean your ship is incinerated, no matter what ship you're flying in.
Now this, you can see if you zoom out enough, it looks like there are other galaxies you can kind of see in the distance.
And it's my theory that two of those galaxies in the distance, which are, well, depending on which way you're pointing, but the two big fuzzy spots below our galaxy, those are the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds. They are the nearest dwarf galaxies to Earth. They're satellites of the Milky Way galaxy, and they are only 150,000 light years away. The LMC, I'm theorizing the LMC is actually, which is the closer of the two, is actually home to the Thargoids. And that's why we don't find a Thargoid homeworld anywhere.
Yeah, I was reading in the lore, they kind of have that. That's one of the theories. Tripit Nebula. Omega Nebula.
Dude, I just noticed something about the LMC. There's something new there.
Which one?
The Large Magellanic Cloud. I'm looking at it right now, and if I'm not much mistaken, it looks as if in the halo, like the debris disk sort of around the galaxy, it looks like there's a star that you can see there now for the first time. Like a place you could jump into, theoretically. And if you can jump to there, guess what? You've got a second galaxy. But we need to get... To jump there, you probably need a special drive, like an intergalactic drive. We don't have intergalactic hyperdrive technology.
You need a Thargoid ship to do it, probably.
Or something. However they do it. An intergalactic hyperdrive would be my guess. That's what they called them in Elite 1. The very first version of the game. They had these things called intergalactic hyperdrives. You could use them to change the map that you were exploring in. And then, yes, you could travel to other galaxies. Wow. Isn't that something? That wasn't there before. I'm pretty sure I would have noticed.
57,000 light years. Basically on the opposite side of the center of the Milky Way. So it's what is the Milky Way? Probably
the 100,000 light years across, they estimate. It is a system of stars, probably numbering between 400 and 500 billion stars, in a transplanar disk with a nebula at the center, a bulge at the center, 100,000 light years across. Because don't forget, you've got another 30,000 light years behind Earth, so it's 70,000 light years from Earth to the opposite side of the galaxy, yes. But from the outer rim of one side of the galaxy to the outer rim of the other side is 100,000.
Yeah, something tells me you'd have to get yourself, what is it? Is it the ASP Explorer that...
No, they would probably...
Jump range?
I think they would use something... They won't give you an intergalactic hyperdrive for a small ship in this game, I don't think.
No, I'm saying if you wanted to try and go from one end of the Milky Way to the other, an ASP...
I would... the Diamondback Explorer right now holds the record, I think.
Diamondback Explorer?
Yeah, it goes 50 unaided. It'll do 50 some odd light years and can jump as much as 200 if it gets into a neutron star. If it gets an FSD boost.
I've got some damn ship that's got 30 jump range. I don't know what the hell it is. It's been so long since I've looked at it.
Oh, I passed my destination. Hang on here. How far have I gone by? Oh, I'm very close. I'm only 50,000 light seconds away.
I love how they got this grid layout across the galaxy.
Yeah, I wish, you know what, I wish they would publish, like, a map with all the sectors delineated in 3 dimensions. So that you could tell, like, if we're in the Tagata sector of the galaxy, you know, where is the Tagata sector? We have a vague idea, but there's no line showing you where the borders are. I'd like to see that sort of geography represented somehow. Because these sectors are not perfectly cubed or spherical in nature. Nor are they octagonal.
Yeah, they're just like everything else in life, random.
Not completely, because they have a numbering system within them that kind of makes sense once you're out exploring. You can see it a little better, but But there's got, I mean, it's not totally random, but then again, it may not look totally random, but could still be completely arbitrary. Named and numbered by the computer, by the server.
Yeah.
During the Galaxy build process. That's another question. How did they build the Galaxy again? Like, did they have to run... they no doubt ran a piece of software to do it, but... Can they run it again?
If you got towards the outside edges of the Milky Way there, according to this, it looks like the planets start getting a lot farther apart.
They are. There's a place called Beagle Point you'll want to read about. It's one of the farthest points you can get. And you have to basically FSD jump. You have to do a boosted jump of some sort from one star system to the other, and it's literally, it leaves you orphaned because you can't do it back again after. So you end up being orphaned in this system, and you have to destroy yourself in order to get back into the main galaxy.
That's awesome.
because no one has ever set up a base out there, and you wouldn't want them to. If they had a base out there, then if you destroyed yourself, you would reset to the base at Beagle Point. Well, that wouldn't be good, because then you'd be stuck there, exactly. So you'd never be able to re-enter the galaxy again. You have to understand, too, these galaxies, they throw off stars into intergalactic space all the time, leaving the star and its planets completely orphaned from the rest of the galaxy. On the one hand, that protects them from being, encroached upon by interlopers that you don't want there, but on the other, you are outside the galaxy. You cannot actually talk to anyone or do anything. You're in an intergalactic void.
Well, I'm sitting out here at this spot here and just kind of click 2 planets, and they're 59,000 light years apart. Something tells me there's no way you're going to be getting out to these ones.
Probably not. There are stars you can't actually, you cannot visit right now because there's no star drive that will get you there, no matter how you configure your ship.
I think I'm kind of just slightly on the outskirts of the Milky Way, actually.
Right now, if you're by the community.
No, I'm on the map just looking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you were actually traveled the edge of the galaxy, well, it would look different. Part of the galaxy would be just blank. There wouldn't be any stars. You'd see in the sky stars only in one direction.
Yeah.
The other direction wouldn't have any stars at all. It'd be black, except for a couple of points of light that represented faraway galaxies. Much too far to jump to. Okay, we're closing on Lennon Holdings. We are now at 96 light seconds and falling, 60 light seconds and falling, 40 and falling, 20, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2...
I should just, for the fun of it, go see how much a Type 10 would cost.
1. $23,000 kilometers. 18. 14. 12. 8, 6, 4,000 kilometers, 3,000, 2,000. Now closing with the station, approaching dock. 809 kilometers.
No mission.
Docking request granted.
Docking request granted.
Shipyard. Stored ships 3.
Flight assist.
I have an Eagle,
off.
Imperial Eagle, and an Asp Explorer.
I just shut off my pilot assist. Always love doing that.
Flight assist.
Diamondback Explorer is the one that's got the longest jump, you said?
Yep.
That's a smaller ship than the Asp, too, isn't it?
It's much smaller, yeah. It's like a little shuttle that'll get you between the stars really fast.
It won't haul much of anything, and it's not very... I doubt it's got much for weapons or anything either.
True, but I did modify mine with engineering.
No, my Asp Explorer I've got modified.
Gear deployed.
I just don't remember what. Oh, let's see.
Well,
Thrusters.
modifying the Diamondback Explorer is necessary because otherwise you hit mass limits. You don't even... You have trouble filling out all your slots to the maximum without engineering modification.
Engines disengaged.
Entering hangar. Wow.
FSD range, the way this ship is set up right now, I got 31.84 light years. That ain't too bad, I guess.
Nope, it's not bad.
Considering I built the ship not having a damn clue of how to play the game. Oh shit, I guess I can't get in that ship. I have a cargo I gotta deal with.
Mission board. Mission. Boop. Strategic data transfer. Okay, 1/3 of a million. Plus, now I'm friendly with the Sol Workers Party. That's good. Okay, and... Ooh, assorted gems. We can have these gems. No, we can't. Because you become a common thief.
Right now I should be able to jump into a different ship.
Actually, I don't want to take any missions here because then I'll have to return here afterwards. However, I can take passenger transport missions because I don't have to ever come back here again after.
Until you accept another mission there.
Caitlin Stevenson sightseeing. No, 14 tourists want to transport out of here.
I wonder why they're going to
Reputation.
transport away. Takes forever to get anywhere there.
Yeah, that's why I'm just looking only for transport missions.
How much armor did you say that your Viper has?
Viper?
Yeah. Or your Python, I'm sorry.
This isn't Battlestar Galactica. What are you talking about? 1 second. I'll tell you right away. 15 prisoners of war they can hang. I can take 24 refugees for another 300,000 out of here, and I will do that. Pick the cabin. Contract accepted. Okay, so that drives the profit motive up. And what was your question again?
Because wondering how much shields and armor your Python has.
That's a good question. I would normally go to outfitting to tell you, but the starport I'm at doesn't have outfitting. Shields and armor. One moment. Going to stats. So my armor health is 910. And I have 670 shield points. At maximum. Right now I only have 571 because I'm down. I think I'm down one of my shield boosters. And my kinetic resistance for shields is 49.8%. Explosive resistance is 58.2, effectively 50-60. Thermal resistance is only 0.7 or 1%. Armor rating is 65. I have currently got composite armor, I believe. Military grade armor, sorry. The third armor class.
Oh shit, I got a 6A shield generator in this ship.
Yeah, so do I.
Well, it's been so long since I've actually done anything with this my Explorer here that I don't remember what's in it. Class 6 shield generator. I've got, what the hell does it give me? 422 shield strength. Guess that ain't bad. Five B fuel scoop. Couple extra fuel tanks. Advanced scanner. Backing computer. Detailed surface scanner. Apparently the last time I used this I was flying around and decided I wanted extra fuel. Insurance cost 1.7 million credits. I'm gonna afford to blow this one up a couple times.
Okay, so I'm gonna shut that off. We have our passengers, we have our cartographics, and they're in a civil war in this system. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to get some dinner into me since I haven't eaten all day.
That's fine. I'll be around. So
I'll be back tonight, provided they don't screw up the servers again completely, so that we can't play. That was the only thing that kept me out last night. Otherwise, I'll be back in about an hour or a bit.
I'm just looking at the ship. I got a 13 million credit shield generator here. I don't need sitting on the ship.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Get a little more money for spending if I need it.
I just left it there. I thought it was important to have. I don't know. I should probably sell it. Okay, anyway, we'll talk to you later. I'll go log out for now. Take care.
Yep, have a good one.
Alright everyone, we're logging off temporarily. It is 17th March, 3304 at 11909 Zulu. We're at Lunan Holdings in the 3605 system, a place you never want to see again. I certainly don't. We will be back on tonight, barring any further technical difficulty from Frontier, but for now, I'm Commander Trium. Talk to you later.